Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, a good shepherd is he, the one that guides me. Though in darkness I find myself alone, I lack nothing, for my God above me his throne. All his love he has shown. Though in darkness I walk alone, in a world so cold, this is my life above me his throne. A silent storm of chaos follows close behind, but in him comfort I find. I find still waters flow gently, reminding me in him I find safety. Though in darkness I walk alone, in a world so cold, this is my life above me his throne. I don't walk alone no matter where I go, on the highest mountain or the back alleyways. The Lord with me he stays. He restores my soul, renewed, unbroken, his righteousness spoken. Though in darkness I walk alone, in a world so cold, this is my life above me, his throne. Guidance, protection, this is his love's reflection, guarding me from the opposition. The Lord's feet show me a righteous direction. Though in darkness I walk alone, in a world so cold, this is my life above me, his throne. Overflowing blessings, anointed with oil, the Lord protects my soul from eternal turmoil. My cup overflows, his mercy he shows, abundance he sows. Though in darkness I walk alone, in a world so cold, this is my life above me, his throne. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever, no matter where. For the Lord's goodness and mercy are in me, a faithful love entirely. Though in darkness I walk alone, in a world so cold, this is my life above me, his throne. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thou art with me. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. This pain of coming back to life, I feel everything, everything. When I open my eyes, your face.
All right, folks. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. Cool. I like it that the thing's on that side. That's good. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so if you're on the members, I got to tell you what happened. So we're gonna do the members show. We're gonna try and do it on Monday, but that's up to you. If we do the show on Monday, we're going to end up not doing it on what day is it? Shit. Days are all running together. Today, what is today? Saturday? Today's Saturday. So tomorrow is the main show, right? But we were out eating dinner and we had to freaking run because we've been at the ranch, we've been all over the freaking place, man. It has been brutal. The weather has presented its own challenges. I'll move Anthony over real quick.
Is it working?
Yeah. Cool. All right. And it's gotten really, really cold, so we had to go out and because we thought that the freeze was, we knew it was freezing, but what we thought was that it was going to be thawing out, which it did a little.
Still some ice though.
But but there's still ice, and the problem is that it's not over by a long shot.
Mm-mm.
So
I'm not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, it's still cold as hell. So yeah, that was kind of, you got to go out and weatherproof everything. We had to go out to the ranch and check everything and make sure that everything was fine, no busted pipes. Check on the animals, make sure everybody's fed.
Yeah, make
sure everybody's doing good. And so we had to do a bunch of stuff. And then today, man, we had another fire watch pop up, and then one of them canceled, and then 4 hours later they're like, go back.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, dude. These people some of these clients are spoiled.
Anything they can to save a buck. Yeah,
and they act like the money's coming out of their own pocket. Like,
well, for the manager, it is.
I mean,
it affects your bonus.
Yeah,
that's why. But you shouldn't.
These property management companies, though, they're like the greediest companies that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and so I don't blame the property managers, because I mean they're doing what they got to do. Their money is predicated on them saving money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like their bonuses. So if they're having to use security and all this other stuff, that comes out of their money. Their bonuses. So it's kind of like they're paying for it. So we left, and 4 hours later they wanted us back.
Yeah.
And we were like, we can't come back until 6 o'clock. We're gonna have to wait. And so but if it's a really fickle business. You could wait, and then they'll go, well, we'll go find someone else. And they'll go find some other dirtbag company that'll do the job for cheaper. Now, they won't do a better job, but they'll do the job. And so you got to contend with lowballing too, man. Some of these companies, they charge the client so little to get the contract. There's a lot of these newer companies that do that, right? And then they don't pay their guard jack, and they'll get the worst guard in the history of guards. And then they'll be like, oh, they're horrible. These people we had before. Yeah, because how much were they paying their guards? $13, $14 an hour, maybe. That ain't going to cut it, because if you're paying your guards crap, guess what? You're going to get crap. Somebody's going to be over there having problems, and they're going to be like, I'm not getting paid enough to do anything.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know. So that's what happens. So you got to pay people good. People don't understand the long term. They don't look. So what happened? Silver and gold tanked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But did it really tank? There was a massive sell-off, and some of my friends were telling me that they were trying to sell, and they couldn't get a straight answer from anybody, because, and I'm talking about solid gold, silver, and futures.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to sell, and the prices were changing by the minute.
Yeah.
Like they went down and they stabilized and they went back down. And so I told them, I said, why are you messing with that? When it hit 5,500, don't buy into that. Don't do that. So you need to wait. If you want to make this happen, you need to wait and just wait and sit there like the patience of a crocodile and wait. If you need the money, sell a little bit, but don't. People are selling under spot right now. I cannot believe that. Like, I have not sold anything under spot. Nothing. I've sold some, but not under spot. And I sold a little bit just to some friends that they wanted to invest. And I sold it to them at spot, which is less than what you're going to pay from a dealer. And so just hang on and let's watch the market correct. And let's see what happens come summer. Let's see where it's at. If it's low and it stays low, then buy. because I promise you, I know what I'm talking about. The silver demand over the next 2 years, by 2027, by I say by September of 2027, we're going to see the industry get hit so hard with a silver shortage, it's going to make your head spin. So for the last 15, 20 years, they've been artificially, like telling everybody silver ain't worth nothing.
Yeah.
While they hoarded it, they being London. Once when that was happening, everybody was like, "Oh, I don't care about silver. It's $25." I was like, "I'll buy it. I bought tons of it. I bought a lot of it." I said, "Okay, I'm a stacker. I stack silver. I stack gold. I've even given away silver coins on the show. I gave away silver coin for Christmas to an ungrateful person in another state who mocked me and made fun of me for it for 2 years. I told him, I said, one of these days you'll be glad you got $100, $200 in your pocket. This thing is worth $30. I said, right now. Do you remember that? You probably don't because you don't care. It was a Coca-Cola coin.
Probably hawked it at the pawn shop.
Yeah, he probably done threw it away, whatever. Threw it away by selling it for $20, whatever. Because I gave it to them. The silver and gold that you wear right now it could have been worn in China, Russia, Romania. The Romans could have wore it. You don't know. Could have been in Africa. It all circulates, recirculates. India, Mexico. But silver, the biggest producer of silver in the world, you know who it is? Mexico. Look it up. Who are the top 5 silver producers in the world? Mexico. Scheinbaum is their president. El Scheinbaum. How does that happen?
Oh, yes, the classic Hispanic last name, Scheinbaum.
Scheinbaum.
Everyone knows
El
that.
Scheinbaumo.
So top 5 silver producers: Mexico, China, Peru, Bolivia, and Poland.
Poland was like, we're not selling anything. Pulling silver out of the ground, we'll give you 10%. We're keeping the rest. If the rest of the world was like Poland, they're like, we mind our own business and we don't let a bunch of people come into our country. I got this one person on my Facebook, been friends with her for years, but she's just spinning out, going nuts about the immigration thing, just going completely nuts. And I'm like, if you don't support this, get off my Facebook. I've been knowing you since high school. You're going to tell me, and talking about making threats to people. I'm like, you need to chill the hell out. There's some good people I don't want to see get deported.
Well,
there's some very good people out there, very good people that I care about, that I like very much, and I don't want to see them get deported. So I did the right thing. I didn't go protest and do crazy things. Right? You know what I did? I called them. I said, "You better get your shit together."
mm-hmm.
I gave them some very sound advice. Stop playing games and go get your green card. Put on some, take a shower, get a haircut, shave, put on some nice clothes. You don't got to get pimpalicious, but just look halfway decent and go find you an American. Do it legally. Yeah, there you go. Do it legally, Ona. I said, do it legally. They're like, my friend, I don't know what to do. This is very bad. I said, yeah, it's bad. You're in my country. I'm kidding. I didn't say that. A couple of them are here on work visa. They're worried. I said, you're on a visa, dude. It doesn't expire for however long, as long as you're working. There's things you could do. But some people, they just get so wound up in the politics. They get so mad and all this stuff. And then they want to get me wound up and involved. I said, man, I'm not getting involved in that. I already know what's what. Some people use it as a cop-out. They're like, oh, they're all corrupt. Oh, they're all the same. It's all the same. There's they do that. They say that's like I say, I hate a racist goes, I hate everybody.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You hate certain people at the beginning and then you go down. One of my friends, he's becoming like a revolutionary or something. He's a Hispanic dude.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know him. You know him, Anthony. And every day it's these anti-white posts.
Yeah.
He found out that he's part native, and now all of a sudden he's over there like
he's got to tap into that.
Yeah, he's attacking white people,
which always results in like hate whitey.
Yeah,
Like, why does like your culture have to include that?
He didn't say that in my way. He knows. Like, you know, half of me will beat your ass. So don't. I don't care what you're teaching. I don't care how many belts you. I'll take your belt off and whoop you with it, dude. And if you think I'm talking about you, I am. I'll beat your ass. I'm just saying. Don't come at me with your revolutionary bullshit. He's on the talking about anybody on my Facebook. I said, really? I messaged her. I was like, anybody? You talking? What do you mean anybody? No response. Yeah, let's slow your roll, bro. Slow your roll. It's not gonna happen. I don't know who you think you're talking to. You got some people on there too. Some other people I know that would do it too. So you might want to stop. He's like counting. Oh, shit. Okay, I got about a dozen people to whoop my ass. I better stop talking. Okay, minus these dozen people. Everyone else can catch these hands. Minus those 12 people there. Starting with Wolf. And the rest of and then goes. It's one of my friends, he's a boxing coach. He used to coach. We were talking. He used to coach with Anthony. He says, look, man, this dude, you got to take this dude. He's just slow as roll for real. But you know what that means back when the Generation X, slow your roll means, yeah, you can talk about it, you better be quiet with me. You better just slow down. Because one time, I'm not even going to lie, man. I just went into a restaurant. I just went in there. This was a true story. I'm going to tell you a little funny story before we get started here tonight on the Paranormal Potluck. And I'll tell you why we're here and the members thing didn't happen, but it's going to happen. But we couldn't because I don't have my notes. My notes was at the computer, and I didn't put them into my email. I put them from the email onto the the file. Didn't put it onto my stuff to bring it with me, so I don't have it for the Botungan. I don't want to say wrong. I think I could tell it without the cliff notes or without the keywords or whatever, but not 100% because there were a couple things that I went over with him yesterday, and I was dog tired. So I was like, okay. And I don't think I retained it correctly. So we will get that done. The third part of that, of the Botungan thing, it's the third and final part when he came to the United States. I think it'll be the last part, maybe. But it's when he came to the United States and what ended up happening to this guy. So I do have enough to tell some stories tonight. We're going to try and pump out 2 or 3. And I'm going to give you, the listener, the option because I do have notes on here. For Dogman, of course, I got Bigfoot. I've been doing kind of a Bigfoot. What would you call it? An expose?
Yeah.
You know? And it's not this vapid, banal conversation. No, we're doing it on Patreon. It's good. And it's been really nice. And so I got stuff about ghosts, a lot of ghost stories, really good ghost stories. And I got a ghost story about a haunted house. We're going to get into that tomorrow. That is pretty good. Yeah, this lady, she's going through some stuff. I feel bad for her. You know, I mean, when you listen to somebody tell you their encounters and they're really putting their heart and soul, you can feel it. You know what I mean? And this person was doing that. They were just like, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And so I want to get her story out because I think she's going to be on one of those shows pretty soon. They reached out about her maybe telling it on one of those shows where they're like, they found their dream house. It was owned by the devil. You know,
Yeah.
It's just wackiness ensues and everything is just bad, you know. But she's a nice woman and she told me her story and it was just like, you know, I just says, yeah, full of crack. What? They found their dream house full of crack. There was crack everywhere.
They made lots of money off of it.
There was crack. They were snorting crack. They were smoking ass crack. It was all kinds of crack. Crack back and snack and some for later. It was terrible. Crack everywhere. It was a haunted crack house. I would say somebody asked me that question one time on a show that we were on. I think it was on like BMR or somebody's show. And they said, is a crack house, would that be haunted? I said, hell yeah, it'd be haunted. I wasn't even making a joke. I was being serious. So anyways, here's what happened. My food got messed up. And I think it was like a Carl's Jr. or some unhealthy shit. And so I was aggravated. In fact, I know it was Carl's Jr. It was, not Carl's Jr. It was Chick-fil-A. Okay, what ended up happening, there's Cedar Park. There's a Chick-fil-A and a Carl's Jr. right next to each other. So I got mad as hell at that Chick-fil-A. Or at the Carl's Jr., I got mad. So I went over next door to the Chick-fil-A. They messed up my order, right? So I was aggravated, man. I walked into the Chick-fil-A. I stopped my truck. God damn, I got out, I got my food. I was like, easy thing. 2 chicken sandwiches, right? The ones with the club, where you get the lettuce, tomato, and all that. And both of them just had some funky cheese that I didn't order. And then just the meat. And, of course, they make them dry. I don't understand people just want chicken breast on 2 dry ass pieces of bread. I don't like that. I don't know how they do that, but that's what they did. So I went in there and I said, man, I think y'all messed up my order. Some of them, oh, okay, sure. We'll fix it. Chick-fil-A is usually real nice. They try to, they mess up though. They mess up a lot for some reason, but probably because they're so busy. So they get so many people in there and they get real busy. Right. And then the kid behind the counter says, sir, what did you have? I think we gave you the wrong order. And I told him, I said, that's not the right cheese on there, whatever. I wanted Swiss or I don't remember what kind of cheese it was. Because it's white, some kind of white cheese, whatever. And he had some kind of special. It was a certain kind of sandwich or something. And this dude tells me, oh, okay, well, that'll be $6.50, so whatever it was. It was several years ago. Probably can't get one for less than $5 now. I said, man, that I already paid. Okay. The left hand don't know what the right hand is doing. And then this employee comes from the back, big black dude, man. He's like, it's $6.56, bro. And I said, first of all, I'm not bro. I'm not your bro. I don't give a shit. I said, and I already paid for it. Where's your receipt? I said, I don't have it. I just went through the drive-through and I saw you back there. I saw you. And the girl there, go ask her. She saw me. And he goes, I ain't giving you no without a receipt. Like just totally. Then this dude said something so dumb and so stupid to me. I guess he's having a bad day. They were in the weeds. There's a bunch of people there. There was some other guy that was complaining. He and I said, what's going on, man? I got a bunch of, he said, look at the computer, pushing a bunch of buttons on the thing. He's like, we got a bunch of new people. I said, okay, it's understandable. I said, can I just get my food? He goes, and then he looks at me, he goes, if you pay for it, bro. I said, I looked at this guy. I said, do I look like somebody who owes you money? He goes, maybe. I said, I don't. I said, I don't owe you money. I don't know you. And honestly, don't give a shit. I said, I just want my sandwiches replaced. Right? I don't know this dude. And then he tells me, he says, oh, you want to cuss at me? You want to cuss? Because I said the S word, whatever. I said, I'm not cussing at you. I said, I just said the S word. I said, shit. He goes, yeah. He goes, there's customers around here. I see them. They're all over the place. And I see that guy over there griping. Another lady behind me's mad. I said, can you just give me my 2 sandwiches? I said, in fact, I saw them make them. They're just like, you could see it's right there. And then the other people were like scared to do anything or whatever. And I said, look, dude, I said, I'm just going to go grab my sandwiches. I went over there and I grabbed them. I said, these are mine. And he goes, oh, no, hold up. He starts trying to take off his apron. This is one time, well, I guess he thought better of it. And I put the sandwiches down and I'm like, I'm not one of those people you're going to run up on. You're not going to hit me. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you, you don't know what you're doing. And like the way he kind of like I said, put your hands up, watch what happens. I said, he points at the camera. I said, I see that. He's like, you can't come behind the counter. I said, those are my sandwiches. I already paid for them, sir. These are my sandwiches. I pulled them out. I look in the box right there. You see that? I was so mad. My impulse was to beat the shit out of this dude. And I'm sure I could have. And I put the sandwiches back in the bag. I said, look, man. I said, you're making a big mistake. And I said, you want to go outside? We go outside so we don't have to disrupt your fine establishment here. It's going to take me 2 seconds, and I hope your head don't hit the pavement, and then I got to go to jail. I don't want to fight you, man. He goes, yeah, you don't want to fight me. I said, for your sake. I said, trust me. I grab my sandwiches. I go out there to the truck, and I don't care, man. This guy's like looking. He's on the phone. I pull up. I go to the other parking lot. There's a Carl's Jr., like I said. I went and parked right there. Now about 20 minutes go by. Police come pull behind me. Cops gets out. And he's fixing his duty belt. He's walking over the truck or whatever. I always do this. I always put my light on, put my hands up on the steering wheel. That's the best way to keep from getting hassled. You don't want to get, don't want to get got. Put your hands up. It was daytime. So I didn't have to. I just put my hands up on the steering wheel. I said, yes, sir. And he goes, did you just steal food? This guy asked me this. This was years ago, right? He said, did you just steal food from Chick-fil-A? I said, no, sir, I did not. He said, They got you on camera walking behind the counter and grabbing food that was not yours and walking out after you threatened to assault one of the managers. I told that cop, I said, sir, I didn't threaten anybody. That dude threatened me. He said, hold up, took his apron off, go look at the film. I said, and I was calm as I am right now, calm as a Hindu cow. I don't give a damn about that dude. And I said, if I wanted to assault that dude, I would have, and I could have done it like that. It's very simple for me. It's easy. You know, I said, I mean, why do I got to be mad? I said, all I wanted was my food. He's the one working at Chick-fil-A, not me. And cop kind of laughed. He chuckled a little bit. He's like, yeah. He said, okay, look, you need to come on and get out of the truck, whatever. I said, for what? I'm sitting there wiping my face. I said, look, all I got is a napkin, put it down. Don't be nervous, whatever. He goes, oh, no. And he had his hand like this, it's a big guy, I got out of the truck. And I said, sir, I still have one sandwich left. If you want to take it back to them, go ahead. They messed it up anyway. I said, if you go back and look at the film, you would see me pay in the drive-thru. And he says, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you go. He's like, but a detective will be in touch with you. I said, for what? He's like, well, that's a terroristic threat. That's a threat. You threatened that guy, and then you took food and blah, 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 and all this other bullshit, right? Next day, I get a call. I don't know this number. I see it, and I answer the phone. It's like, hi, this is some woman. I don't know who she was. This is the manager at Chick-fil-A. She goes, I want to apologize. She goes, we did see you go through the drive-thru. You did pay for your food. I said, ma'am, apology is fine. I said, whatever, but you got the police involved after your guy threatened to beat me up. I said, I promise you that would have been the biggest mistake of his life, and there would have been a mess right there at Chick-fil-A. I said, I don't know what this is, but this is ridiculous behavior. I said, I will never, ever eat your food again. She gave me a free thing, whatever. I don't care. I don't want a sandwich. I don't want a Dr. Pepper. I don't want anything from you. I said, is your manager over there going to apologize? Well, sir, he's not. Yeah, of course, he's not going to apologize. He's going to stay working there. He's going to get away with it because he's going to do it to somebody else. I said, that guy's a troublemaker. This is a true story. Get this. About a year and a half later, no, it's probably longer than that. Probably about 2 years later. Because I wasn't with Nellie when that happened. I was with Nellie when this happened. Me and her were together. Because that's how I know the timeline, whatever. I'm at the gym. I'm working out. And I see these two guys arguing. This dude, he's taking off his belt, like whatever. To use the squat, the squat rack. And there's a big argument. These guys are being loud. This is a powerlifting people's gym, like a bodybuilders and powerlifters, right? And somebody said, oh, he works out to powerlift. No, I don't. I don't powerlift anymore. I do deadlifts like that every once in a while, but I'm strong as hell. I don't need all that shit. Let other people do it. And so I'm standing over there watching, and I see this guy. And I'm standing there talking to this guy that I work out with. He's standing there with me. His name's Darwin. He's a big old dude, big old black dude too, man. And we're sitting there talking. I said, I know that kid. I said, he used to work at Chick-fil-A. I said, I remember I almost got into it with him, man. He got an attitude, real bad attitude. And he's all up in this other guy's face. The other dude's some short Hispanic dude. And I'm standing over there watching, and he turns around, he goes, because I'll whoop everybody up in this mother. I'll whoop everybody up. I'll whoop everybody up in here. Ain't nobody gonna mess with me. My heart don't pump Kool-Aid, dog. You know what I'm saying? You better watch yourself. He's like and he's announcing that he can beat up everybody in the whole gym. Everybody in the whole gym. He's like, I can whoop everybody up in here, man. Can't nobody tell me shit, right? And I was standing there, and I just couldn't resist, right? And right next door is Black Sheep. That's the boxing gym, right? I couldn't resist. And I'm standing there, and I said, who are you going to beat up? He turned, he looks at me, he goes, everybody, throwing his head back, doing that rooster thing, whatever. And I said, man, I remember you used to work at Chick-fil-A. And I said, and what happened? You got fired, didn't you? Ain't none of your business. I said, yeah, you probably got fired because you tried to buck up on me. I said, I'm going to tell you right now, homeboy. I said, you ain't going to whoop my ass. I can't speak for these other gentlemen in here. I said, but I'll beat the shit out of you. He tried to get all crazy. I said, no. We're not going to do up in here in big techs to get everybody in trouble. I said, let's go next door. What's next door? I said, oh, you don't know, huh? I said, the neighborhood boxing gym. I said, I know everybody over there. Let's go put on gloves and do it right. So I started walking away. That way he couldn't try to press, you either come or you don't. And he just turned. I go to the door. I said, come on, man. Because I know the guy that runs, Big Rob, that runs that place. He is a beast. You think I'm a big dude. He's a big dude. Big Rob could throw a Mack truck. Or he probably throw 18. The guy's huge. He's one of the biggest guys I've ever seen. And just built. I mean, like every ounce of his muscles got muscles, right? And Rob's in there. It was early. And he's like, everything okay? I said, no, it's okay, Rob. I'm going to take it next door. I know everybody next door. I know all the fighters, all the coaches, everybody. I said, come on, I got some gloves right there in the truck. I'll just go grab them. I went and grabbed them, put them around my neck. I said, let's go next door. He had been running his mouth. So a couple guys that were there with him, they were he was trying to getting on them, and them older guys, they were telling him, go next door. You're going to whoop anybody in here, go next door. You're already terrorizing that guy. And you can tell this guy lives his life that way. I said, you ain't going to come outside? I said, I'm not going to fight you outside. Let's go. I kept walking. I walked down to the black sheep. A couple minutes later, little crowd of people come. Little group of people walking, whatever. He comes through the front door. Starts talking. I said, me and you could do it right now. We could do it right now. I knew the owner, everything. Let's go. I said, let's go to the match. Everybody was there. This was like, years ago, 8 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was. Several years ago. The Black Sheep only been around a little while, not even a year at that time. I knew all the managers, everybody. I said, come grab a pair of gloves. He stood there, kind of looked around. I said, I know you don't box. I said, and you talking all this crazy stuff about how you could just beat up everybody. I don't know who that man was that you were over there fighting with. I said, I don't give two shits. I said, but when you make an announcement for the whole gym that you can whoop anybody in there, I said, you need to watch who you're talking to. I said, because this is now the second time in my life that I've encountered you. I said, and I would have whooped your ass there, Dave. The Chick-fil-A, I whoop your ass here. And he's all, I said, you can believe what you want. I said, come on, let's go get in the ring. Let's go. Let's do it right now. He said, you know what? I'm going to catch you around. I'm gonna catch you around. You'll catch these hands. Don't worry. I'm in the middle of my workout. I'm doing legs. I'm sore. I can't be moving around, whatever. And I said, let me tell you something. Anytime you're ready, I gave him a card with my number on it. I said, anytime you're ready, you freaking let me know, and we will fight. I said, or you could pick somebody in here that you could beat up, because I guarantee everybody could whoop your ass. Don't do that announcing to everybody that you can, stand in. I saw a meme the other day. Somebody was at Popeyes doing that. I'll whoop everyone up. And there's somebody standing there going like, no, you're not. No, you won't. No, you won't. Because that's not going to happen. Never saw the guy again. I don't know what happened to him. Probably ended up in prison with his bad attitude and his horrible temper. He probably got into it and somebody checked his ass. He probably got his ass beat. All right. I took a whelp on the head last night. It's been hurting a little bit. I hit myself at the gym. But yeah. So I told him, I said, you ain't going to do that. Don't talk crazy like that. That's crazy. That's stupid stuff. That's stupid. You're not going to do that. I'm never going to go in a place and go, oh, I'm going to whoop everybody in here. Everybody out here. Like, dude, who do you know is standing around? You might turn around and like the UFC champion might be standing getting a sandwich, especially in Austin. You don't know who's going to be there. You might want to shut up, dude. But that's a true story, man. And when he left, he walked out, and I told the manager, I told everybody that was running the place at that time. I just told him, I said, yeah, that guy was over next door talking crazy. So he was going to beat everybody up, and he was going to do this and do that. He didn't do shit. Nothing happened. We didn't fight, but I was totally ready. I told him, I said, let's go up in there. I just said, we got a ring open right here. We can fight on the mats over here, whatever you want to do. We could fight, we could grapple, we could just mix martial, or whatever you think you got. Do what you got. Beat me up, because this is the second time now. You got away with it the first time, and you called the cops on me, punk ass, or somebody over there did. But that's life, right? You got to watch who you're talking to. Now, what that has to do with tonight's show, absolutely nothing. I'm joking. No, it actually does. The first encounter, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. If people want to join us, they can join us. If you want to donate, donate. If you don't, we're trying to hit 100. We need $130. My business. I can't tell you what it's for. It's a secret. Now, we set a goal for this month, myself, the whole PRT team, Anthony, Tony, Nelly, Gary, Maddie, whoever, everybody that's in the PRT team, whatever, my brother, we set a goal, and we are $130 short of this month's goal. And it's not even the money. It's just the fact that we are trying to reach our goal. We missed our goal last month, get this, by $99. We had a goal set for last month. And we missed no, we really didn't miss our goal. Our original goal, we beat it. And then we set another goal, like a little bit of like third week of December. We're like, you know what, maybe we could hit this. And so we have these goals we're trying to meet. And now we are $130 short of the goal. And tonight is the last night. So I think it's 10 o'clock now. But Zara Gonzalez says, you wish you had Cash App or Venmo. Yeah, we got Cash App and Venmo. Just message me through the email and I'll send it to you. Yeah, so normally I wouldn't even say this, but we are trying to hit that goal. And it was just a team goal that we decided. And we got to pay Tony his money because the little bastard got all, but I'm not jealous, but he got a lot of money for his birthday. And Jessica says, Josh, we talked about this. I told you crack cocaine is not the way for 130. Man, if I had $130 worth of crack, I'd be dead if I did that. You know what you would. There are people out there working way harder for crack rocks on some of these properties. Believe me, they are pimping everything they can pump. I had somebody come up to me, try to sell me baby clothes. I'm not even joking. Can you imagine being you're sitting there in your truck, you're talking on the phone, and somebody comes up to you, tries to say, "Hey man, I got this blender," and I'm like, I don't need a blender. I'm good. Then they take off. They come back. I got some baby clothes. I'm like, it's not even funny, man. It's not, but it's so horrible. But this guy was relentless. He was a good salesman, but he was trying to sell me baby clothes, man. It was me and Scorpion. And I looked at Scorpion and said, do you need baby clothes? He goes, no, I don't got no babies. I said, me neither. We're good, bro. I said, but what do you need baby clothes? What do you need the money for? Oh, I had a car. One of the tires was messed up. I said, you had a car. I said, I never see you driving anything. He goes, but I could if the tire was fixed. I need it. I need that. I said, yeah, I do see you though looking high all the time. I'm not gonna give you money for baby clothes. Sorry. It's sad. And I don't know if this dude has a baby or if he stole the baby clothes or what. I mean, I can't harass this dude. I don't know. Thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. So like I said, if you want to help out and help us hit the goal, it's nothing like life or death, and it's not a donation thing. We're just trying to hit our quota, and if we could do it, it would be awesome, dude. And then everybody, we set a goal at the beginning of each month, and we try to hit that goal, and we're in the last day of the month, and we might not. If we don't, we don't. But yeah, from my calculations and with the views we would get, because we lost views on that Monday show because, this is my personal belief. This one guy that's been trolling us, I think it was his nephew that did it. Yeah, it was your nephew. I'm pretty sure it was. And I'm just saying, I think it was him. I'm not gonna say who it is or who it was, but I think it was that's who did it, because we ran it through a AI like this. These people now that are looking into this, they have a way to check the voice, and the voice matches up with some other trolling he did. And so they're saying that it was him and he's the one. So we lost like 3 or 4 days on the views on that show. People were asking where the Monday show went. Well, the Monday show had to be processed, and all the nasty stuff that they sent us had to be taken out because they sent us a guy doing things, and whatever. So they don't stop. They pretend like, they're at peace with you, but they're always at war. And me personally, I don't give a shit. I don't care what him or hippopotamus or any of the other nasty people say. I don't give a shit what you say. You built a whole channel based on some bullshit, talking shit, and you still ain't got shit, and you ain't about shit. You never be shit. That's it. Here at PRT, we don't have time for shit. All right, that's it. Thank you, Slim Jimmy, my man who forgave a woman after she cursed him. That's a good, solid dude right there, man. Because if a woman cursed me, I'd be like, nope, Nope. Can't do it, man. Can't do it. I mean, there's a lot of things I'll let slide. Curses ain't one of them, but Jimmy's got a good heart. Unless part of the curse was that he would still forgive her no matter what. Then it's not Jimmy's. Then it's really not on Jimmy because Jimmy's under the spell, right? It's okay, my man. It's okay. We understand, Jimmy. You're a good-hearted dude, man. Thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. Yeah, Marmar says, I need money from my baby. It's almost always nonsense. Yeah, exactly. So let's get started with this story here. This one was a story that was sent to me from Scottsdale, Arizona. So the fact that the person lives in Scottsdale, Arizona is a paranormal experience in and of itself because they're able to live there. That's one of the hardest things you can ever do in life is live in Scottsdale. I'm insulting him. Jeremy, I'm joking around. His name is Jeremy. Jeremy, I'm joking around, my man. I'm just kidding. I messaged him right before the show, so I was going to be doing your story here. Here's what's crazy. And now Jeremy gave me some other stuff too, right? This is Paranormal Potluck, though. We're going to jump around a little bit. What happened to him, he was driving from Scottsdale, Arizona to Tucson. And him and his girlfriend, his wife, I guess now, were driving along and they saw something and it was right at midnight. Like literally the clock struck midnight and they're driving and they see something swoop over the car. And his girlfriend saw it. She was like, Jeremy, I saw something go over the car. He's like, I'm tired. I'm like, I've been up all day working, and I had to go drive to her grandmother's place, whatever. He's like, and I'm like, okay, that's nice. You know, he's like, she's always seeing stuff. Here's the thing, though. One of the stories he gave me, we're not going to talk about it tonight, but it happened in near Flagstaff. He's an Arizona native, right? He don't like Texas because Texas beat them, Arizona State, in the playoffs. But that's okay. I forgive you. So he tells me, he says, I saw this thing fly over my vehicle, right? That's what she said. She saw something fly over her vehicle. I didn't see it. He said, about 5 minutes later, she kept talking about it. So talking about, you didn't see that? It looked like a grayish thing. It flew over the vehicle. I saw it. I know what I saw. And he was just like, no, I didn't see it. What do you, how much coffee did you drink? What did you put in your coffee? What are you doing? And she's like, you always want to make fun of me. He's like, yeah, because every time we're driving, you see something. She said she saw a Bigfoot a Bigfoot-like creature near Flagstaff. And he goes, man, I swear she sees things, right? And he goes, up to this point, this was 2009. This was a while back. He said, but up to this point in our relationship, we got married in 2010. He's like, I'm thinking every time I go out with this girl, I do anything, something happens, right? Something weird. She's like, we're in a restaurant. She sees a ghost, right? It's like, come on, man. I don't believe that. That's what she said. But I don't believe it. He says, we're driving along. He goes, and it's nighttime. It's desert, right? He goes, and something flies out in front of the car. He said, this time, I was like, okay. He goes, okay, you know what? He says, you know what? Yeah. Her name's Edie. He's like, Edie, I saw that. I don't know what that was. And she's like, right? She's like, I told you. She's like, there's something swooping around the car. She goes, and I thought I saw it earlier too, but I didn't want to say anything. That part, he goes, I remain dubious on that one. He didn't say dubious. His words were, I kind of don't want to believe that because he says, yeah, she said that. He goes, I believe that she saw it the first time. He goes, but then she goes back in time she always does that, right? And he goes, yeah, I don't know if I believe that. And she goes, if she sees it, she's going to be like, look, do you see it? It's right there. It's right there. What, are you blind? What's wrong with you? Like, okay. And he's like, no, I'm not blind. I didn't see it. So anyways, she gets real upset. I know people who will say their partners will get very mad if they don't go, you didn't see that? And one guy, he told me, he lives up in North Dakota. He told me all the time. He's like, yeah, I'll just be like, yeah, I saw that. It was weird. Yeah, like he just goes along with it, right? Because you don't want the smoke. You don't want that smoke. Fighting with a Chick-fil-A employee is not the same as fighting with your wife. You're gonna be sleeping on the couch. The Chick-fil-A dude, you're just gonna go home. Hopefully, This is crazy though. He says, I'm not gonna fight with this woman. I'm like, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. She says, I didn't see. I saw a big bird. That's what I thought I saw. It's a big bird. He said, then the weirdest thing that ever happened to me in my life up to that point. He said, I'm going 75 miles an hour through the desert. He said, I look over and there is this bird. It's a bird. He goes, it's not a man. It's not he goes, it's just a big black bird with red eyes. He goes, and it's flying right next to my window as I'm driving. And Jeremy's like, he goes, I swear I'm not joking. He goes, Wolf, I'm not kidding. He said, I'm driving. And I asked him, I wasn't trying to be, smart ass or anything. I said, what were you driving? He goes, what does it matter? I said, oh, you were driving a Prius. I jokingly said that. That's a true story. I jokingly said that. He goes, no, the Prius was at home. He did admit, he admitted to me that he had a Prius. I said, man, I don't care. I've driven a Prius. I rented one time. They had nothing else on the lot. I had no choice. And I drove it from Austin to Dallas and was in Dallas for 2 days in Arlington, visited some friends, stayed the night at my friend's house with him and his wife. And I came home. I didn't choose to drive. I told Jeremy, I didn't do it willingly. That's all they had. I wanted the Camaro, but they were like, sir, we can't let you have the Camaro. You'll have too much fun. You look like one of those kinds of people. You just look. You have an unsavory, too much fun face. I said, okay, fine. I'll take the Prius. No, really, they didn't have anything. It was either that or they wanted me to drive a little, what are those little cars? Terrible. They're smaller than a Prius, a Yaris or something like that.
Oh, the Fiat.
No, it was a Yaris. I think it was a little crapmobile. It was worse than a Prius.
Yeah, that was another Toyota, the Yaris.
Yeah, it was. And I said, I'm not driving that. I'm not. I said, look at me and look at that. The Prius was actually comfortable, and it went pretty fast. It did, and it got good gas mileage. It was awesome. So I said, okay, look. I said, here's the thing. I don't mind driving the Prius, but just know that when I return, it will never be the same vehicle. Get ready for hell weekend, Prius. All right. And I did. Boy, I was just taking curves and driving fast and everything. No, but here's what happened. He said, no, I wasn't driving a Prius. He's like, I had a Jeep. I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee. And it was, he goes, and I was moving pretty fast. I was moving, right? And he said, and I look over next to me. He goes, and this black bird is flying next to me. He goes, and it's not flapping its wings. It's like it's soaring. He's like, and I'm going 75. And then I told my wife, I said, honey, you're not going to believe this. And Edie looks over. That's not her real, that's her nickname. Edie looks over and she's like, Jeremy, what is that? And he goes, it's a black bird. He goes, so I slowed down and the thing kept going. And it just like, when it went up, he goes, and I slowed way down to about 60. Then I was 55. And then my wife's like, well, at that time, a girlfriend, but she says, you need to speed up. Speed up. And she goes, why don't you have a gun? And he goes, because you told me that guns were dangerous. He said, I didn't tell her I had one in the back, but I couldn't stop. Grab the gun. He goes, and then, he said, what do we need the gun for? It's not attacking us. He said, right when I say that, this thing swoops back over the top of the car. And he goes, and I look around. I was like, there is no traffic. No traffic. He's like, we left Scottsdale. He goes, we were driving. He goes, there's no traffic. What is that highway from Scottsdale to, there's the highway from Scottsdale to Tucson. Look it up. And he said, so he goes, there was no traffic. I'm sitting there going like, what in the hell is this? What is going on here?
I-10.
It's I-10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I-10, because I-10 goes all the way. You can go from San Antonio to El Paso and just all the way, and then you can cut through from Austin. You can cut down into I-10, and it'll take you all the way to California, right? It's I-10, right? The main artery, yeah. And he said, this is it was I-10. It was the main highway. How far is it, Scottsdale to Tucson? What is it?
$113 miles.
Yeah. A little less than 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah. A little less than 2 hours. Runs east to west, right? Yeah. Somebody just said that in the chat too. Jesse said east to west, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that we were driving. He said, and there was no traffic on there. It's about midnight. He goes, but the thing was, it was a Friday night. There should have been, we were going to visit her grandmother for the weekend, which is boring as hell. He goes, I had a video game thing packed with me. He said, I was bored all weekend over there. There was nothing to do every time I go there. He said, she's at a retirement home there or something. She used to be. And he said, dude, I'm driving. And this bird is right next to me. And then it swoops up over the top of the vehicle. He said, and the crazy thing was there was no one on every now and then I'd see a car pass on the other side, but there was no one behind us and no one in front of us, which doesn't make sense. He goes, there's always people on that road, always traffic. It's I-10. At least big trucks. I've driven that road going from Texas to California probably a dozen times, maybe more. And I've gone to California and from different directions too. I've been from Colorado to California and California to up into Oregon and back down. Went from California all the way to Michigan, came back down through the heartland, went into Indiana, all those states, Ohio, cut across Pennsylvania. Been to Pennsylvania two times, one from the south, one from straight across. But been all over the country other than the Northeast. I haven't been to those particular places. And like I said, this is not a pimple. This is me getting hit in the head last night at the gym. Anthony was with me.
Yeah.
He's like, what happened to you, dude? And I hit my head on a machine. And it knocked the pee out of me, dude. I saw just like a white flash, like, whoa. And a couple of days before that, I hit my knee. And it was so loud, the person that was on the phone through the speaker heard it. And it sounded like something hitting wet cement, didn't it?
Yeah.
And Scorpion was in the back. He goes, oh, I heard that. Like, ooh. To this day, why do your friends got to laugh at your pain? If you hurt yourself, why do they got to laugh? Right? Scorpion, you're the one that fell down because a snake fell down on top, fell down out of a sign because you were sitting underneath it and you knew it was there. Right? Don't feel sorry for him.
No, I just thought it rained in snakes.
It's raining snakes.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. He knew there was a snake.
Yeah.
Literally a rattlesnake.
Didn't move.
It was up. He is sitting right there waiting for it to come down because he tell people, avoid the sign, folks. There's a snake up here. Any other time, he wouldn't give a shit. Then all of a sudden, he turns into John Candy. Sorry, folks. The AT&T is closed. Right? What are you doing, man? Where are my Poindexter glasses? Here we go. There he is right here. This is Scorpion. I'm going to protect everyone from the snake that's up in the sign at the AT&T store. Not because I need to or I have to, but God damn it, it's the right thing to do. Hey, buddy, you're getting a little close. Don't make me use the pepper spray on you to save you from the snake. Let me sit down here and enjoy my lunch. Oh, no, it's snake. Ah, he falls on his back.
How could this happen?
A 4 foot. It was 4 foot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Huge snake. And then they're like, oh, that snake was as scared of you as it were. As it. Scorpion's like, it didn't look like it. I said, yeah, because it jumped down. The snake was crawling up. He was like doing his thing. And he looked down. He saw Scorpion. He goes, what's he doing? Oh, I'm fixing to drop on this dude. He starts slithering down.
Yeah, if that snake had hands, it would be ringing them together. Yes.
And you know what Scorp does? He probably he probably got offended. He offended it or something. He probably looked up there and said, yeah, I see you up there. I see you slithering. You don't want none of this. I'll whoop anybody out here. And the snake just was like, and what? Well, you think I won't bite you? What's up? And then it just dropped down. And then Scorp flopped around on his back and rolled. What did he say? He said he monkey rolled off into the street. Didn't he?
Yeah.
He said, I monkey rolled into the street and I jumped up. Yeah, you jumped up with your cat-like reflexes. He jumped up and then he fought the snake away with a loose leaf notebook that he takes notes for because he's such a good guard. And then he ran inside after he destroyed the snake. He beat it up and then he threw it into the drainage ditch. Is that what happened, Scorp? Tell us the truth. Speak true now or be damned. Anyways. But that's a story unto itself. That's a whole nother story. But he laughed at me hitting my knee, but that's okay. We know how it is. So, anyways, this dude, he sees this. Jeremy, he says, "Man, I see this bird. It's flying next to my vehicle." He said, and the crazy thing was, it was red. The eyes were red. There is no bird. He said this bird was about 6 feet. The wingspan probably 8-9 feet, and the body was about 6 foot. The head wasn't like overly large. Usually, the head is like in proportion. It was big, you know. But he goes, the wingspan, he goes, it shouldn't have been able to carry that bird. It didn't, he goes, it just, the whole thing did not look correct. It did not look normal. Like, not that, you know, not that seeing a bird flying next to your vehicle at 80 miles an hour is a normal thing. Because I told him, I said, that's a very irregular flight pattern, sir. I was heading to my ranch one time and a duck came up next to me and it flew with me, you know, quite a ways when I was going about 62. When you get about 63, the duck slows down and then it dives bombs and then goes into the water.
So anyway, I started blasting.
So I just started blasting. But this is a very unusual case of a red-eyed black bird chasing somebody. And he says, "Do you get these often?" I was like, "Never. This is an assumption I'm making here." It's the worst case of being cut in half I've ever seen. But it was crazy because the thing was right next to him and it was looking over at him like, "What you want?" You know? And then it did what it did. It disappeared, then it came back. He said, and then it went over to my wife's side of the car. He's like, that's when the problem really started. He said, because then she's trying to get into my lap. I'm driving going 70 miles an hour, 75. And then she just decides she's going to just go get into the back and crawl down, hunker down. She's going to hunker down into the floorboard. And I'm trying to keep from driving or from wrecking while I'm driving. And he said, this is crazy. Oh, look at that. Debbie took care of us.
Thank you, Debbie.
We made it. We did our quota. Nellie, Tony, Score, Maddie, D, if you're listening, you're watching, you're probably not even paying attention. You're probably playing games or looking at whatever, not important. But Debbie just took care of us. I love Debbie. Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. We did it, folks. We hit our quota. This thing, the wife gets he was so mad. Jeremy's like, I was so mad. I wanted to open the door and push her out with the bird. I was so mad. I go, you're going to make us wreck. Edie, knock it off. She jumps in the back of the back seat and she says that this was what she said. She said that it stopped. He didn't see it. He was trying to drive. He said he saw it just back up, like it disappeared, like they went, you know. Then it slowed down and it turned and it hovered by the back seat and was looking in at her. She said, flapping the wings and looking in at her. She's part native. She thinks that maybe this bird was an ill omen for her. And something did happen. She had a dream about 2 days later when she was at her grandma's. She said, we got there that night, Friday night. It was a long weekend. It was like a Labor Day weekend or something. And she said that we stayed there through the weekend. She goes, that's Sunday before we left on Monday. She said, that's Sunday. She said, I had a dream. I had a dream that I had a child and that this weird looking, sketchy, her words, like sketchy looking bird-like creature took my child. She did have a problem with this child and it didn't come to term. She says, I believe that this thing, that's what it was. And she also believes that somebody sent that to her because her grandmother had a friend who cursed her years ago, her mother. Like this is her mother's mother. Grandmother on her mom's side. She said, somebody cursed my grandmother years ago. And she was cursed with not being able to have a child. And then she had my mother. And the whole time that woman was mean and angry and wanted her mother dead. And I asked her, I said, how do you know this, Edie? And she says, because my mother told me, my grandmother told me. She's like, but that woman wanted my grandfather. My grandfather had dated that woman, unfortunately. At the same time he was dating my grandmother, that he broke it off with her and decided to be with the grandmother, you know, and because, you know, he was a young man. He wasn't married, you know, and he was dating 2-3 different women. And I guess he was very suave, suave. And so all these women wanted him, so he chose, this whatever. And she says she's part native. She says my mother is Hispanic and my dad is white and native. But she says my dad looks, he's like a white guy with native features, is what she said. But she said that it was crazy that when her dad died, this woman was so angry. She had never married. She goes over to the funeral, whatever, that was in New Mexico. And she throws ashes and says some words over the grave and over the casket and walks off wearing all black. And she goes, my grandmother was livid. And then this woman sat there in front of everybody and says, you and your whole family are cursed in front of a bunch of people. This woman. Then she got on a broomstick and she flew away. I'm joking. She didn't do it. She got in her Prius and she's like, and spit and drove away. Getting good gas mileage and, not having to stop for gas.
Yeah, it sounded like a Jetsons car as she drove away.
Yeah, she just. She did this. I curse you. Can you imagine driving away in a Prius after a curse?
Yeah.
Like I can see getting like a big old dually. Y'all are all theft.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, hey.
Try being mad in a Prius.
I might end up like just wearing a wife beater with mustard stains the rest of my life after what Bubba just said. I'm in trouble. Trailer park it is. I'm screwed. No, that's not what happened. She just cursed everybody and drove away in a Prius. No, I don't know. I did ask that question though, because I was like, look, I said, did she drive away? Because that you go, you do all that, you gotta drive in a hearse or something. You gotta drive off in the hearse. I was driving the hearse. No, she just cursed and took off. She said, come to think of it, none of us really remembered what she drove when she drove away. I said, maybe she just did like Dracula Dead and Loving It, like you're I'm gonna leave now.
Calling over.
She just backs up and goes and hides behind a tombstone, and you're just like, I can still see you there. She moves in a little more. Okay, yeah, now you're good. Take your hands off the stair. Nope, can't see you at all now. Spooky. Well, we're all in trouble. All right. Jeez. But yeah, she did. She said she goes over this woman. She said she's a horrible person. She called her a bad word. She didn't call her the W. She called her the B, which if you don't know, that's bitch. And she said she throws the ashes on my dad's grave. And my mother goes over there and starts knocking them off. We don't know what kind of ashes these are. For all we know, that could have been the bird that she had. She can't, or her dog or cat or whatever. Thank you for that donation. I really appreciate that. Oh, that's cool. We got a pod person, folks, who actually joined us. He said, I love the show. I've been listening since 2022. I listen on Apple Podcasts, but finally watching live. Shout out to East Tennessee and Jalisco, Mexico. I said it right. See, some people would say that's Jalisco. That's Jalisco. Do you want some yellow? I like yellow. I like to eat it.
Sounds like a Star Wars place when you say it like that.
Yeah. My friend's mom would do that. She would say she was married to a Mexican. My friend, when I was growing up, my friend Javi, his mother was white. So she learned Spanish, right? Because she didn't want to be like that Willie at the party. Yeah. She said, what is cabrita? So then she would still say the J on words, be like,
want a jalapeno?
Yeah, that Jalisco people, they're something else. But then she would be like, this is a share. Yeah. Be like, are you buying something off of stocks? Are you investing in Nvidia? You buying shares? But it was funny because I'd hear her like talking on the phone, real good Spanish, and then every now and then she pronounced the J, and I'd be like, "What the hell?" Because his mom looked like she might have been half or something, but he goes, "No, my mom's straight up white." I was like, "Okay, but whatever." But anyway, thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. Debbie Cawthra took care of us too earlier. We hit our quota. I can't say nothing. Show's over, guys. See ya. We're out of here.
I got mines.
I got mines. But what do you think about that? Like this bird with the red eyes. We've heard that quite a bit, actually. We had a guy in Missouri, most recently, talking about seeing this black bird on a barn. And that was a weird story too. But I don't want to just do another story about a black bird. But I mean, it might be to compare it, to this. But what do you think?
I think these birds are like familiars. I mean, I don't know like how else to explain these birds with glowing red eyes, or like an owl will be a familiar for a bruja who's a lechuza. I don't know. I mean, I think that these things are always associated with people who practice witchcraft,
Bruja,
sorcery.
brujeria.
Yeah, call it what you want.
Mm.
Like there's always like a connection there between these strange birds and those people.
Yeah. Do you think that honestly that this was something that woman that wanted her grandfather, like haunting her, because according to her and Jeremy, like Jeremy has witnessed a lot of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy's like, my wife's, she's part native. He's like, I'm a straight up white dude, He goes, but I've seen some weird stuff. And one of his best friends is Hispanic and told him, he says, hey, dude, that's a bruja. That's a lechuza. But the bird didn't look owl-like. It was like a black. The way he described, he said it kind of looked like a buzzard, but without the red head. They have the bald-looking head. It was like but kind of looked like a buzzard and a raven. The way he described it. But then I got to say, I'm the one that said raven. I said, what do you think? Like raven-like? He goes, yeah, kind of. But not really totally like a buzzard either. He's like, I don't know what it was. It was just so weird. But how does a bird keep up with a vehicle like that? See, point of fact, in our reality, it doesn't. It doesn't. So that's a weird story. And he's got a few other weird stories. And a lot of them have to do with what he thinks is a curse. Because see, that's why you tell the whole story about people, because then you get the whole enchilada, like instead of just jumping around with different types of stories, which we're going to do tonight, but you tell each one of these people that we're going to talk about tonight has more encounters. And it kind of puts it together, it puts it in context. I don't know how many times I've listened to other shows and I've heard people tell an encounter, or somebody will come on and tell an encounter. Like Sean. If you haven't listened to Sean's episode, listen to it from last night. It's crazy. Sean was on Dogman Encounters. And while Dogman Encounters I'll be honest, it put some people on there that I think I don't know what they're doing. Like, I think they're you have an hour to kill. Your encounter is 5 minutes long. Make up some shit. Like,
stretch it out.
Just stretch it out. Add some stuff to it. Just make it, this ain't a chicken soup. It's a chicken pot pie, noodles and rice and, whatever. Mm-hmm. Put some fava beans in there. Just mix it all together. Let's see what happens. And then it comes out and you're like, ugh, that's me. But some people will listen to this. But I can't tell you how many times I've listened to that show. Exactly. Mastroianno has just said, Mastroianno. And you're sitting there going like, what? Like it just veers off into some rambling, because they depend on people to tell the story. And a lot of times people are like, look, I can only sit here on the phone for, so long. I got a 20-minute encounter and it's just about Dogman. Now, if that person were to come on there and be honest, I'm not saying they're not honest, but I'm saying if they come on there and they're being honest, there's more to the Dogman, because there's a context there that we're missing, because there's something else that went on. Right? And I'm telling you, the change began with me. I don't care what those people say. Because I came on there and started talking about stuff, and the audience was captivated because they were hearing more about the why and the how, not just the what. Right? That's what you need. And so many times people are just like, oh man, there's so much more to this. Look at how many episodes we did with Sean. And we broke down all these different encounters and things he had happen to him. You know how many people in this chat, probably chat alone, have that same stuff? A bunch of people have that. Several people who've been on the Monday show, and I'm told, like, I'm going to record with these people because it needs to happen. So what I'm going to try and do on Monday is maybe do we're going to do on Monday. We're going to try. I'm not guaranteeing anything because Tuesday is the Patreon live stream. And we're doing Bigfoot in Louisiana. It's going to be good. So we're going to try and maybe do like an hour long. If I can squeeze it into an hour, I'm going to try. And then we'll do the call-in show afterwards, like separate after we do the members only live stream. But you're going to get your members only live stream. It's about the Botungan, and we're going to finish. We were going to finish tonight, but we couldn't because I don't have my notes with me. And there's a few things that are very important. And it's not going to change. It wouldn't change the story too much, but not having certain details about places and times and things like that, you kind of need that. If I remember correctly, there's a few things that I need to go over. But check out Nellie's show, Dead Zone Transmissions. Here's another story I got. This one's really weird, dude. Okay. Do you remember we did a show not too long ago? I don't remember when it was. We did one about somebody who had called their dead sister called them.
Yep.
She was a drug addict. She died as a drug addict. Anyway, she called them, and that story tugged at my heartstrings. I'm a sensitive guy. Y'all seen me cry on here, man. I'm not a crier like, oh, you hit me. I go, ooh, like a sissy guy crier, but I'm an angry crier, and I'm like when something hits my heart and I feel something, I get emotional, and sometimes I just, and crying is actually healthy. It can be. If you're just crying all the damn time, I mean, you got something's wrong with you. But what I'm saying is, like, there's times when I hear people suffering, I can't handle it. I don't like to hear about people and animals suffering. I don't like that shit. I feel for it. I have empathy. People don't understand that. Well, then something's wrong with you. And you want to be all stoic and be like, oh, don't cry. Then don't cry. I do. I get upset, but that story had me in tears when I was listening to her because she was crying. And I said, oh man. But it was very emotional. But imagine this. This is a freaky story right here. So this guy's name is Damon. He contacted me, and he said that him and his brother grew up in Houston, and they were gangbangers. I'm not going to get into where the gang and all that and stuff. He said, my cousin got shot. He goes, I was 17, he was 19, and he was one of the people that was instrumental in getting me involved in this particular gang in Central Houston, East Central Houston. And he said, one day, I'm walking by a payphone. The court, this is back, his cousin died in 96. His cousin died in 1996. He said a couple years later, it was 1998, and it was in the late November, whatever. He goes, I remember because it was right between Thanksgiving and the end of the month. He goes, and I'm walking by a payphone. Get this. He says, and I just, it starts ringing. He goes, and I pick it up and I answered the payphone, and this guy is talking to me. And he says, I need your help. He's like, Damon, I need your help. He's like, I'm trapped. And he's like, who is this? Who is this? He's like, this is, weird. He said, the only people I knew, whoever used that payphone, they were drug dealers. And this is back in the day, payphones, funny, I saw a payphone recently right there at the HEB parking lot. I could not believe it. Remember we saw that payphone over there by the house? I said, that's a payphone. People still use them. I didn't know people had quarters to put in them.
Yeah.
But so he said, man, it was crazy. He says, I pick up the phone. He goes, Wolf, and it was weird. The voice sounded, his cousin's name was Jamal, right? He said, I pick up the phone. I think it's him. He used to call him JJ. I said, is this JJ? And he said, yes. He said, Damon, help me. He said, help me. He goes, I'm being tortured. I'm being tormented. They're trying to take me. And then the phone just went, and then it died. Damon told me, he says, dude, I hung the phone up. He goes, and I backed up, and he goes, oh my God. He goes, I don't know what that was. He said, but I heard you talking about the people's calls, people calling from the dead or whatever. And he said, my aunt listens to your show. Shout out to her. Wendlin is his aunt Wendlin. Wendlin told him about me. He listened to the episode. He says it was crazy. He said, and then a couple days go by. He goes, I told my brother Jeff. I said, Jeff. He said, I talked to JJ. Jeff's like, man. You know, and he said Jeff was in between us. He was 18 when JJ died. JJ was 19 going on 20. Young guy. He said, man, that's crazy, man. He got smoked, man. We know, you know, he got shot, you know. And he says, yeah, but I was walking by the payphone and it rang. His brother doesn't believe him. His brother doesn't want to accept that this is what really happened. A few days later, his brother is on that same payphone making a call. And of course, he's still in the game. He's slinging, you know, whatever. He said, my brother was a heavy hitter. He was moving some weight. Moving weight means you're moving birds. A bird is a key, right? They're moving keys. They're doing bad stuff. And he says, the phone rings. While I'm on the phone, I hear the phone, like, you know how when it's like you're calling somebody and you can hear it going, brrr, you know? He said, and the person I was on the phone, I was on the phone with this person. He's like, and my friend, we called him Shoddy 8. His name was Shoddy. He said, Shoddy was on the phone with me. This is what Damon told me. He said, my brother said, you know, there was this guy, Shoddy 8, Shoddy B. Shoddy B's on the phone with me, right? He said, this is this other gangster, right? And he says, and the phone starts ringing, and Shoddy's like, what is that? Who is that? And he goes, I don't know. And then he hears hello, like somebody picks up. He said, and it was JJ. He said, and Jeff, that's his brother, right? And Jeffrey. And he said, who is this? And he said, this is Jeff. And JJ says, Jeff, you got to help me. He's like, you and Damon, get the guys, come get me. He goes, I'm 2 blocks down the street. Get this. He said, I'm 2 blocks down the street. They got me in an abandoned building. He goes, these people are torturing me. They're tormenting me. He goes, then he hears, get off the phone. And then he's like, get away. They hear all this arguing and yelling and screaming, and he hears like somebody's beating him. He goes, and then he hears on the phone, you can hear people in the background yelling and screaming and making all this noise. And then he hears a voice get on the phone, and he says, you can't help this. The N-word, right? With the A at the end, right? You can't help this N-word A, you know. He's done. He's ours. He said, and you're next, Jeff. And Shoddy. And Shoddy's like, who is this? He goes, you're going to be gone. He goes, you're going to be gone. 2 months, you'll be ours too. He said, and Jeff, you're next. After that, he goes, you'll be gone. And then your little brother's going to be gone. He's got, who is this? They think this is the ops, right? The enemy, like people they don't like. He said, what kind of prank is this? How did you tap into this phone? What is this? And he's looking at the phone. He's like, is this thing tapped or something? Like he's freaking out. He says, shut him, I'll call you back. And he hears laughter. And then he goes, it's game over for y'all. And he said, when that being, this is what Damon told me. He said, Damon said, he said being. He said, when that being said it's game over for you, he said it was like, it's game over for you. That's how it sounded. Like it was legit like the devil. I get the chills, like there's a hair stand on my arms. Dan was talking to me too. Another weird thing happened to me, dude. I heard somebody in the background when he said that. When he told me that part about the game over, I heard "show enough" in the background, and I said, "Who was that?" And he goes, "Who's what?" I said, "I don't know. I heard like, you know how you can tell like it's a black person talking in the background, right?" You know, and I said, "Oh, it sound like a." He goes, "What does it sound like?" I said, "Sound like a brother in the background say show enough." You know, I don't know who's that. He said, maybe it's coming on your end. I said, I ain't got no brother standing around saying, shh. I said, it's just me. Everybody else is asleep. I said, and you're kind of getting me freaked out here. He said, I'm getting freaked out. Damon's like, let me call you back. So he hung up. Call me back. And he says, hey, man. He goes, is it better? I said, I don't know. I just heard somebody say show enough in the background. He said, that's weird, dude. He goes, this apartment is freaking me out. It's weird, dude. You know, and this dude, you know, he was a young guy when this happened. You know, a 17-year-old kid, you know. So you kind of wonder, I mean, you're sitting there going like, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, he's like 46 years old now. And it's like, he goes, it's like it was yesterday. He goes, I have 2 kids. He goes, one of my kids, passed away. It's been hard. He goes, me and my wife split up. He goes, I'm living alone in an apartment. He goes, I went to prison. He said, probably the best thing ever happened to me. It kept me from dying. He goes, I did 6 years. Well, he got sentenced to 6 years. He did 4. But he said, dude, he goes, I got up for parole. They let me out finally. And I know where he did his time, and he told me, and he said, look, I was a hard head. He goes, and my brother at that, he goes, my brother come home. He was shaking. He goes, my brother was shaking. He said, you could see the blood drained out of his face. He said, he told me, I said, you look like a ghost. Not like you've seen a ghost, but like a ghost. Like all the blood is gone from your face. And he goes, I talked to JJ. It was him. He said, they're 2 blocks up the road from the payphone. That's where they would, So they go to this building. Yeah. They went and they got their buddy Shoddy. 2 different guys. One of them was Shoddy, and they had another dude named Shorty. Okay. And then they had this other guy. I don't know his name. I can't remember what he called him. They had nicknames and stuff, And he was, there were 5 of us, 3 different vehicles, and we rolled up, we pulled up, like we were hard, set tripping. We go up in there and he goes, we look inside. My homeboy's like, Shorty P's like, man, there ain't nobody in here. There ain't nothing going on in here. This is some BS, man. These ops trying to set us up, and they're looking around. They're nervous. They think somebody's trying to play a game. And, his brother Jeff said, man, how did they get onto the phone, though? He goes, and if that was the Popos, because his other guy, Shotty, said, it was the Popos, bro. They just tapped it. He said, why would the Popos, that's police, right? He said, why would the Popos, why would they get on there and talk all that mess and pretend to be JJ? That's not how they work. They're just going to listen to what you're saying, and they're going to bust your ass. That's how it works, right? They kick that door in, and they don't do it that way. They're not going to talk to you and talk crazy and act like you're a ghost. He was right. Shotty was, that's not how it works, bro. Jeff told him that, and they see how you're right. This place had a chain on it. They didn't have nothing to cut it with. So they looked around, they broke a window, whatever. And then they jumped in one at a time. The last one in, couldn't get in. So he stayed watch. He's like, you know what? I can't get up in there. I'm just going to stay watch. They said, okay. He goes, and my homeboy, he cut himself. He cut his arm up real bad trying to get in the glass. He said, we get in. It's a dirty, nasty, old, abandoned building. And he goes, there was like machine equipment. It was just sitting there. We walked around it. We're like, hello. And it was like an echo. Hello, hello, hello. And Damon said, man, it was spooky, dude. He goes, you got your gat, but that's a gun, in case you don't know. He said, you got your gat, but there was something in there. He goes, and then almost all at one time, we all look up and we see what, this is his exact words. He used the word a wraith. He said, I see this thing. It looked like I don't know, man, and I said, like what? Like, I'm over there like, what was it? He goes, it was like a wraith. He goes, it's like the word that comes to my mind is like a wraith. It looked like a demon. He said it had predator hair, like the predator, but it was all black. He said, and you could see through the legs. You could see it because there was still daylight. He said, sun was coming through. You could see through the legs, and we were all like, what the hell? He goes, and then we heard like something fall in the back, sound like a metal pipe, and then we heard a laugh. He goes, and my brother, he's a brave dude. He's the bravest one of all of us. He's like, when our cousin JJ died, he goes, my brother Jeff became like the main guy. My brother, they call him DJ. He said, and DJ just said, no, you know what? I got this. He's like, shh, I'm going to smoke this fool. Whoever's back here, whatever, let's go. He's like, he's ready to go, He chambered his round and his 9. He's ready to go to war with whatever this was, right? With a handgun. Right? And, we had to laugh about it. We were talking, and it is what it is. Damon was like, I know it sounds dumb, but he goes, we thought we was hard. I said, I thought I was hard too until I saw a dog man walking. It changes your whole perspective on things. I was a badass little chavalito out there, man. I didn't fear nothing, Holmes. I was going to jail daily, Holmes. And then I saw the devil. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're not as badass as you think you are. Yeah, you can whip 100 men. You can't beat that. And you ain't going to beat it with no pop gun either. So he starts walking back toward the back. He said, and there's these barrels and stuff, and whatever. And he goes to the back, and then he goes, my brother comes running back to us. He says, we got to get out of here. We got to go. We got to go. And he says, everybody just ran to the window, and we all started jumping over it. Well, the thing is, last guy out was him. And he goes, I got no way to get out. He's like, and I turned around, and I'm like, I'm stuck. His brother's like, I'll go get some wire, some cutters, whatever. He goes, what, dude, you going to go to Home Depot? The words he says, I can't use them. But he said, you going to go to Home Depot to get some, by the time I'll be dead. He goes, what did you see, Jeff? And Jeff's like, I saw the devil. I don't know. I'll be back. And he's like, takes off. And he's like, you saw what? Jeff, what did you see? No answer. Then Shotty comes back and says, we'll be back. We'll be back. We'll come help you. He says, oh, hell no. He's like, man, I'm looking around. I don't know what's back there. He's like, I go over there. I take a barrel and I start rolling it sideways, just trying to get it, whatever. And then I heard like something was moving back there. He's like, I knew that whatever was back there was evil and bad, and it scared he goes, I was about to pee on myself. He's like, and my brother, I could hear one of the cars driving away. And then Shotty was like, I'm going to stay here with you, man. I'm trying to find something to help you get over. He said, and my other homeboy, G, was there. And he said, I don't remember what they got, G something. I don't know. G Summit. I don't know. I'm not trying to talk shit about the guy. I don't know the guy. But he said, G whatever. He said, G Money, whatever. Was like, we're going to help you get out of there. Your brother went to go get some cutters. And he says, man, there's something back here. And he goes, and then I hear this growl. He goes, and it was loud. I don't know what it was. He's like, and I finally got the barrel. I just kept rolling. The barrel had some kind of liquid in it. It was spilling out. It looked like oil or something. He goes, I kept spinning the barrel. And finally I got he goes, and I climbed up on the barrel. He goes, and I looked back. He goes, and this thing, two of them on either side of these equipment were walking toward me, and they were smiling, laughing. He goes, you could see teeth and eyeballs, but they were all black, and their hair was back. You could see hair. He goes, it looked like quills. You know how quills on a porcupine? Yeah. He goes, and I heard this like noise as they walked. He goes, and I jumped over that broken glass window. He goes, I jumped through there. My friends are like, go ahead, jump. We'll catch you. They didn't catch me. He said, I busted my ribs. I said, I think my ribs are broke. They're like, well, you're alive. He goes, and then we hear from one of these things stands up and is squatted down. He said it was squatted down like a football player, like just like Spider-Man, He goes, it was looking at me while it was sitting on top of that barrel. He goes, and I look up, and there it is right there, just looking down at me. And he goes, I'm like, oh no, this thing is right. It's looking right at me. And he's like, I don't know what that is. My friends didn't know what that was. He's like, but one of my friends, he's like, he dropped his gun and he ran and got in his car and just took off, left his gun there. He said, I thought these dudes were hard. He goes, I looked up to these dudes. He goes, after that day, he goes, I didn't look up to nobody. He said, but I was hard-headed. We got the hell out of there. Me and Shotty got out of there. He goes, but he said, we told some other dudes in our gang, we were like, dude, don't go to there. There's something there. He never got another call from his cousin that he knows of anyway. He said, but his mother did. One day, his mother was making some stew, and it was a cold winter day. He goes, and it was a while later. He said, and it's like, a couple months later, whatever. She's cooking. She gets a phone call, and there's a crying on the phone, and it's her son. He's like, Mama, it's JJ. He's like, they're taking me to hell. They're hurting me, Mama. And she's like, where are you at? He's like, I saw the guys. He goes, I saw Damon. He said, I saw them. They came to where they had me, but they ran. They ran. They left me. He said, I saw them there. He said, I saw Jeff. I saw Shadi. I saw all of them. And these creatures chased them away. They said, they're going to take me to hell. They're torturing me, Mama. That night when she finally went to sleep, like she could not sleep, right? And she said it got so bad, she told Damon she had to go to the doctor and take sleeping pills. She said that night I couldn't go to sleep. And about 2 days later, after she got the prescription, she started being able to sleep again. She said about a week goes by after the phone call, and she was so disturbed by this call. And she said that he came to her in a dream. And in the dream, there was all this black smoke around him, and his hands were behind his back. And he said, Mama, he goes, I don't have much time. You gotta tell that they need to pray. They need to pray for me. You can help get me out. Ask God to give me another chance, and tell these guys they have to pray. Tell them that they have to ask Jesus for forgiveness. And the whole thing told them what they had to do. There was a light behind him, right? He goes, I don't have much time. They can help me. He told her something weird. He says, there's these other beings, they came to help me, but if I don't get the help, he's like, I got to go. Told her that. He said, and if I don't get the help, I'm done. I'm finished. I don't know how long I'll be gone. And I don't know when you die, if you'll see me. Please, Mom, tell them to pray for me, but they need to change. They have to do this. And she said she woke up. She couldn't even remember. He was giving her like instructions, right? She goes, I woke up crying. It was my son. I tried to touch his hands. His hands were behind his back. And there was like this commotion going on, like there was a fight or something, you know? Around that time, Jeff believed what his cousin had said. And you know what he did? He snuck away to church. He went to a pastor, a reverend down the road, and he says, hey, man, you know, first he just kind of wandered in there. He didn't know what to do. And this preacher comes out, starts talking to him. He's a white man. He was a white guy, you know. And he said, my son, what's the problem? And he says, I don't know. He goes, I had a weird phone call. He didn't tell him the whole story. He goes, but I feel like I need to pray. I feel like I need God. I'm kind of scared. He's like, but you know, I'm in this gang and there are these dudes, and these dudes they're not down with all this, man. He said, you can't tell anybody I came here, you know. It's like an outreach church, right? In the middle of the hood. And he said, son, I know a lot of people who are in these gangs and they're trying to get out and do what they can. He said, we have programs to try to help people relocate, things like that. And he said, okay. So he gave him like a little pamphlet. And he said that, he goes, I've been threatened 100 times. This preacher told him that. He said, I've had guns pointed in my face, and I've had people, you know, try to help people's brothers and cousins, and they come and they want to, you know, no, I'm not afraid. He said about 2 years later, that man was shot and killed. So just right outside of his car, somebody drove up, bam, shot him. You know, and I have my reasons why I think that it didn't make the big news. First of all, he's Christian, right? And they're going to say that this gangbanger killed him, whatever, because they don't care. That doesn't fit a narrative, so they can go and make a big deal out of it, right? Who cares? He's just some Christian dude trying to help somebody in the hood. Nobody gives a shit about that. Nobody cares when a person in the hood dies, unless it's a white person killing them. Then it's, oh, look, we'll make a big deal out of this. Let's make a big deal. Because it fits a narrative. So you can rile everybody up and make everybody fight everybody and go crazy. And then they'll destroy their own neighborhoods. Ha ha ha. During the Bolshevik Revolution, which the revolution was long over, they were still doing it, up until the 30s, up until they were attacked by Germany, 65 million Christians were killed by the communists, the Bolsheviks. I could tell you who they were that was behind the NKVD. Go look it up yourself and see predominantly who it was. I'm not going to tell you on here because I don't want to be run down any more than I already am. That says a lot from me because I personally don't give two of the feces. But yeah. So this poor guy was gunned down. But this is what his brother said. Now, I didn't actually talk to his brother. I didn't talk to him to verify this. I'd be lying if I said I did, but I believe Damon. And Damon says, my brother Jamal went off and got saved. And then when my hard-head ass found out that he was going to move out and go to this other area, and I said, oh, you're going to go move and be around the white folks. You're going to leave the hood, just leave all of us behind. He said, I literally did the dumbest thing I could have ever done in my life. He goes, my brother didn't talk to me for 4 years because I took a gun and I pointed it at his throat. I said, I could just blow your head right off the top of your shoulders right now. He said, and my brother, Jeff, told me, he says, you do that. You do what you got to do, Holmes. You do what you got to do, homeboy. He's like, but you won't be my brother. Don't you point a gun at me? We don't talk no more. He goes, until you get your life right with God, we deuces. He goes, you turn around. He said, I'm gonna leave my gats right there on the dresser. You can take them, do what you want with them. I'm done with this. Not running around dying for no bullshit. Who's who on the block? He said, you're gonna get God like everybody else. I'm out of here. He said, deuces. He said, he kissed his fingers and he walked out. He goes, I could shoot you. He said, I was yelling at him, I could shoot you. And he said, yeah, you could if you want to, but I know where I'm going. He's like, and a few months later, I get in trouble, get hemmed up, got in trouble, got in more trouble. Next thing you know, I'm in prison. I was in county for months. Mama turned her back on me. Annie turned her back on me. My aunt didn't turn her back on me so much as she just kept pushing this Bible stuff. She kept trying to tell me. She's like, JJ, talk to me. JJ told me you need to get your life right with God. You need to pray. Why are you doing all this stuff? My auntie had the sugar. She had diabetes, right? He said, why are you doing this, you knucklehead? Your cousin is trying to fight to get out of hell. And he's like, if he's in hell, that's where he belongs. And then she hung up on me. And then I thought, oh, poor me. Nobody's helping me. I ain't got no money for my commissary. The free world dude comes and gives everybody else honey buns. They call it, that's a free world dude's a commissary, right? He's like, I ain't got no honey buns. And everybody else they're making spreads with their ramen noodles. So I'm over here. Why am I going to do all this? Why me? Why? It was an interesting conversation with this guy. I enjoyed talking to him. He said, Wolf, you're a real dude. He goes, you get it. You understand. I said, yeah, I spent time when I was young locked up. I was stupid. I did stupid things. And just because you can fight in jail, that ain't necessarily a good thing. That'll keep you from getting Captain Booty Bandit on you, maybe. That'll help you from having something like that happen. But not to talk, this is just real talk, but if they know you can fight, they're not going to come at you with their fists. They're going to stab you. They're going to jump you with a bunch of dudes, man. That's how it works, man. So, yeah. And if you can fight then, and if it's a dirty place, in other words, like the guards and stuff, the guards will be making you fight other inmates. That's what happened to me when I was a kid. The different places I went to, it was bad. It was horrible. He said, dude, I was locked up. I got 6 years. Could have got out in maybe 2 if I'd have behaved, and then I didn't. He goes, in another 2, and I thought, I'm going to get out. Nope. Finally, I got out. But while I was in there, my aunt kept coming to see me. My mama died while I was in there. Can you imagine? That must have been horrible. He goes, and my mama turned her back on me. He goes, but my aunt kept coming to see me. And then he's like, before the last parole hearing, my brother, who is now preaching in another town, sends a letter. And they read the letter. at the hearing, right? They said that he was willing to talk to me again. He goes, was a testament to the power of God. He goes, and that's when I got saved. I went to the chaplain. I said, I want to be saved. I want to be baptized. I'm done. The people he was rolling with told him, you better watch your back. He goes, they could have put me in PC. That's protective custody. They didn't do that. He says, I was out in the yard. I lifted my weights and I watched my back. Kept to myself and minding my business. A few months later, I got out by the grace of God. He goes, and I never looked back. And he goes, and I got a job. You know what job? He goes, I was cleaning up trash, taking out the trash, washing dishes, doing all this menial jobs, working construction, doing everything. He goes, but I was free. And the main thing was I found a place to go to church. I found a place to worship God. I found a place to believe in Christ. He goes, and later on, the church I went to, we kind of hit an ideological barrier. I know what he's talking about. He said, they don't teach the Bible correctly, so I found my own way. He goes, and then my auntie heard the show, you know, from what you were talking about on the phone calls, whatever. He said, I felt compelled to reach out to you. Got it through a message on Messenger. Started talking to this guy. And we talked, man, and it was real talk. I know a lot about a lot of things, a lot of different, and that's one thing I know firsthand, is to know how to be incarcerated, take your freedom taken from you. I didn't get locked up as an adult, thank God, but I'm this close to getting tried as an adult because of the way I would beat the shit out of people. And people think on the show, like, oh, he's just talking. He thinks he's tough. He's talking big, whatever. You really don't know. You really don't know me. And people don't even fight nowadays. They just do the pew-pew. They don't care. They know you can fight. They're just going to go grab a gat. They don't care. Remember what I said about Austin? Bats with gats. Them bats are just, they're just hanging. They swoop down. Pow, 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 pow. The good thing is bats' hands are like little itty bitty. So the gats that they use are itty bitty. So the bullets that they have are little. Yeah, they're even smaller than BBs. And when you hit them, you're like, ow, what was that? Yeah. But if they get you directly in the eye, it might hurt.
They call them flybys.
They do flybys. They come at you, man. They come at you hard.
Like from their perspective, it's like they're shooting a 50 cal.
if you went from their perspective, it's like slow motion. You see the shells.
Yeah,
shell casings
ejecting.
It's like
fireballs.
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah. And it zooms out and it's just like
Black Bat down. It's just going crazy. And you're just like pew pew. Like, what the hell was that? Am I breaking out or something? But it's, it is what it is. Bats in the belfry. Exactly. So you got your situations here. There's a lot of bad things that go on here too. Well, really, when it's downtown, I thought about this for maybe random files and just walk around downtown one night and then video 6th Street and let me show you. And I don't know now exactly, but a lot of those clubs, money laundering, prostitution, drugs, and there's gangs, and there's people being shot and stabbed every freaking weekend. You think I'm joking? Austin is a cesspool of garbage. Back in the day, I was sort of the, I don't know what I would call myself, kind of the Bill the Butcher guy kind of guy, I was kind of that guy. I don't do that shit no more, and I haven't for a long time. But people talk a lot of shit. You don't know me. You know me from the internets, the interwebs. No. Things are different now, right? And I choose to be that way. I could have stayed down there and been somebody stupid. People, a lot of these celebrities who come to town, they're like, I want to hang out with these gangsters. Because for whatever reason, celebrities love athletes and gangsters. And they want to be around the gangsters so they can look like, I'm tough. Look at me. I play in a movie where I'm tough. I'm hanging around with gangsters now. Yeah, sure. But I can tell you this, real talk. I think this dude was on the level. I think he was legit. He was telling the truth. And he said, I got saved. I got out of prison. He goes, and I have kept my word to God. He goes, it's been a long time. He said, my wife did something horrible to me. She stabbed me. He's like, I caught her with another dude, and she stabbed me. And he said, you know what? I didn't even retaliate. A knife stuck in my arm. He goes, it was sticking right through the skin on either side of my bone. He's like, I just waited for the cops. Cops came and said, she stabbed me. Had my neighbor witness. My neighbors, the couple next door, they were like, yep. He goes, there's this Mexican couple. And they said, yeah, that's what happened. She went to jail. He goes, and then I got the kids. And then when they got a little older, they were able to choose. And my daughter wanted to stay with me. My son wanted to go stay with her. But my son wanted to stay with her so he could go run the streets and do all this crap. He goes, and now he's like, he's in and out of trouble. My other son died, getting in all that crap, doing all that bullshit. He said, and when they told me, you know, he said, I went over there, I got my son. I said, no. And then they said, I kidnapped him. He said, but I didn't kidnap my son. I went and got him because he was living in a bad environment. He goes, so I fought for him. And then when he got older, he went and lived on his own or whatever. He's like, and I went back to court and I won. I said, you're going to live with your mama? Bullshit. That little baby meme. Bullshit. You never live with your mom. He's like, because you're playing around with that bullshit. No, that ain't happening. He said, and I sat my son down and I told him, I said, Mildred, I said, let me tell you what happened to your Uncle JJ. That's my cousin. He goes, we grew up like brothers. He said, and guess what? He's like, he went to hell. I'm convinced he went to hell. He goes, but around the time that my brother got saved, he's like, he took Shorty and got him saved. And then they were praying for my cousin. He's like, and I don't know if this is how it works. He goes, all I know is what happened to me, Wolf. He's like, but about 6 months ago, and he told me this story like about 2-3 months ago. It was probably about 2 or 3 months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back in, because we were going to do it in October on a short. And then we didn't do it. So it was probably September when he gave me that, right? So 6 months from September, like March or 2025. He said, about 6 months ago, he said, I saw my cousin with his big old fro and everything. He comes to me, he says, man, he says, I'm doing good. He said, I was in this dark room. He goes, I was being tortured by these beings. He said, he told me this in a dream, right? It's like a dream, right? He said, and these beings came through the door. They were light, like they were just light, like yellowy white. And then at the bottom where their feet were, it was like bluish light. He goes, and then there was white in the middle. It was crazy. They were like angels. He said, and they fought these demons. They stopped them. And he said, they told me this, and they said, if you can get 5 people to pray for you, we'll let you go. Then you show us that you're worthy, and we'll take you home. He didn't know what home was. He goes, and then he goes, I'm telling you, he goes, you guys helped me. He goes, you were the last one. He goes, and you were so stubborn. You wouldn't pray for me. You would not pray for yourself. He goes, I needed y'all to pray for yourself and to pray for me. He goes, because I did nothing good in my life. But I had a good heart. He goes, you remember that one time those kids were kicking that dog? He's like, you remember you ran over there? He goes, and our uncle, they had an uncle that was real bad. His Uncle Ray just like, let them say, let that's their business. Let them do it. They're going to kick that dog. And he said, we ran over there and we stopped them, and those men started kicking us. He's like, that's who we were. That's who we are. That's the essence of who you are. He told me that. And when at this point, Dane was talking to me, he started kind of tearing up. He said, I don't like crying. You know, you're on the phone with another grown man, you're crying. I know how it is. I said, yeah, I know you're a punk. You shouldn't do that. Now, I didn't do that. I'm joking. That did not happen. I did not disrespect that man like that. Look, no, I said, I get it, dude. I said, believe me, I know. And I told him, I said, I've cried on my show in front of everybody. It's just a human emotion. I'm not a cyborg, you know? And I told him, I said, you know, it's okay. He said, I saw my cousin. He said, look at this. He showed him the hands. He says, hands. Well, his wrists, they were like burn marks where they had these chains on them. He's like, these beings were torturing me. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was black. It was dark. I could just see shapes, and they were biting me and torturing me. He goes, they were just draining me. And I would wake up. It was like, you're just a battery. You're just being drained. That's all I can tell you. He said, and finally I called out. I said, Jesus, if you're there, help me. I'm sorry. He was like, man, it's too late. They kept telling him, no, it's too late for Jesus. The Isis can't hear you. No. Mm-mm. And he says, I believe, I'm a good person. I never killed nobody. He goes, I spared people's lives even, when I should have, people disrespected me in the street. And I didn't do it. And that's when these beings kicked in that door. And they said, you got a choice. Let's see if you can help these people turn it around. Give us 5 people. Make an effort and pray. He said, I had to sit there like in this on my knees and pray. He goes, it was weird. I wake up and he goes, and he said other things too. I couldn't remember it all. I just woke up and I remembered that. Now he goes, I got so excited. I ran out the house wearing my chones, right? He likes to talk like his wife is Hispanic, right? He said, I was wearing my chones. I said, you're wearing your underpants? He said, I was wearing my chones. I ran out of my t-shirt, Wolf. I was butt naked below the chones. I said, what am I doing out here? Fixing to get arrested for indecent exposure. I ran back inside. I put my clothes on. My auntie lives down the street. He's like, I'm fixing to put my clothes on. I'm trying. He's like, and then he's like, I realized I forgot my phone. He goes, I could have just called her. I go back inside. I said, oh, what am I doing? He's like, grab my phone. I said, hey, I'm coming to see you. I'm coming to see you. Just be at the house. She said, oh, okay. She said, I'll be there in like 5 minutes. I'm almost home. He's okay. He goes, I run over there. She's pulling in the driveway. I run inside. I said, you're not going to believe this. I said, sit down. I said, JJ came to me. He told me all this, blah, 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 blah. And she's looking at me and she's just shaking her head. And she goes, I know. She says, Damon, I know. He done told me the same thing. She said, I fought so hard to get you to change, to accept God and to stop fighting God. She says, you can't fight the Holy Spirit. You can't comprehend it. She says, you don't understand. She's like, I knew in my heart that this was going to be what was going to happen. I asked God, please. She's like, death ain't the end. It's the end of this. And she grabbed his arm and he was sitting there going like you knew all? She said, I knew this. She's like, I went there. When you refused to see me, I would still go there every Sunday to see you. You would refuse me. And she said, you walked up, you turned around. She said, you did it to me 6 times. She says, I still said, I love you. I wrote every letter for you. She said, death is real. The flesh dies. She goes, but our Lord and Savior didn't die. These are her words. She said, he transcended. He defeated those people that killed him, that mocked him, and tried to destroy him. They destroyed his body. She goes, they just released him and made him more powerful. And this part right here is funny. I said, that sounds kind of like Star Wars. I told Damon, he goes, it is. It's my favorite part when he goes, you kill me, I just become more powerful. He goes, I thought about it. And I said, you know what? He goes, I told my auntie, I said, the flesh is weak. It ain't tough to be able to do stuff to people. That don't make you a man to be able to hurt people or shoot people or sell dope. You get these little rewards, these little earthly rewards. He's like, Wolf, it ain't nothing, man. I said, I know. It's nothing. We're living here by the grace of God. I'm telling you, and I didn't do this to try to make a sermon tonight. That's not what this is. This is Paranormal Roundtable. This is just what we do. This is how we do it, right? And he said, he goes, and this made me feel good. He says, I think you're a good man. He goes, and over the last several months, I've seen people attack you and say the most horrible things about you. I see you defend yourself, and I see you get attacked for defending yourself. He's like, and I thought about these people. He goes, these people, he's like, all you can do, brother, is pray for them. He goes, because they're going to end up in a bad place, just like my cousin JJ. He goes, and they better hope, and they better really pray that they have somebody enough here to care for them. He's like, I'm not Catholic, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's purgatory or what that is. He goes, but we prayed, And my cousin went to a better place. He said he's still under a lot of pressure to do right and to do what is right. His soul is being, worked on. And I told him, I said, God says in the Bible, he's smithing us like silver. Why would God say that? Why would he use silver? It's a purification. And now silver is just, it's all connected. It's all connected, brother. I'm telling you. I told him that. Now, whether you think you're a good man or you think you're a bad man or you think you're a badass or whatever you think you are, I know who I am. I know what I am. People don't scare me, dude. Like, when people start getting loud, I'm like, you give me a headache, dude. That don't faze me, bro, for real. I've been in the worst situations, worst places. I've had a gun put right to my head more than once. And I could have died, and I didn't. And I was so stupid. I didn't even care. I was a stupid person at one time. Smart and wise in some ways, and just stupid and hard-headed, ignorant in another way. And I look at myself and I thank God that he allowed me to be how old I am, to learn and to gain the knowledge. I always was fascinated by Solomon as a kid. And I told Damon that. I said, when I was a child, I love that story about Solomon when I was a kid. Because Solomon, when God said, you can have whatever you want. You're a righteous person. You're the son of David. That's a lineage of Christ. What is it that you want? And Solomon says, I want wisdom. I want the knowledge. And I thought to myself, that's the key. They call it the key of Solomon, right? That's the key to everything, is having that wisdom, the knowledge, the discernment, to know right from wrong, good from evil, the real reality, right? That's what we're talking about. And it is a weird thing. We don't know what these things are that fly next to somebody's car and look like a freaking red-eyed raven. We don't know how it works and how his cousin Jamal was able to reach through to the other side and touch these people's lives and make them change. He didn't forget who he was. Yeah, he sold drugs. He did bad things. But like he said, he goes, I wasn't a murderer. He's like, I played hard. I acted hard. He goes, but in my heart, he goes, I never lost my love for God. He's like, and get this. He goes, you remember when we were little? And the preacher asked people to come up there and pray. He goes, when I was in second grade, he goes, I accepted Christ. And then I turned my back on him when I was like 6th, 7th grade and never looked back. He goes, but Jesus didn't stop. Damon said this. He said, Jesus didn't stop looking for him. Because Jesus wants all of his flock. He don't want his sheep running off somewhere. And in this world of sheeples and wolves and whatever, we're wolves. But we're wolves for God. Because these sheeple are going along and doing the bad thing. And they're following the false God. The God of this world that Jesus says, the God of this world is Shaitan. Don't be fooled. Watch out for these games they play. And they don't like people like me that wake you up and tell you the truth and tell you, hey, be careful for this. Don't do this. Do this, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how much time I got. I don't know how much time we got together. All I know is if God is merciful, he could let me live to 100. If he's merciful, he lets me live to tomorrow. If he's merciful, he lets me live to be 70, 80, whatever. It don't matter. We live and we die by his grace, whether you want to believe it or not. That's the way it is. Every day you wake up, before your feet hit the floor, you need to say a prayer and be thankful that God let you have another day upon this earth. And pray for those that you love, care about, and that you're close to. And remember, Jesus is our shepherd, but you shepherd your own flock. And you're responsible for your own self. Don't blame others for the things that you've done. And don't care about people that hate you, because Jesus said they hated me first. They hated him so much they killed him. But what happened? Like so often happens now, you see it all the time. People become more potent after they die. Sometimes that's what it takes. A person's death is a tragedy, but in this case, it turned out to be the path to salvation for multiple people. And we hope and pray. We hope that these people go to the place where they need to be and that JJ gets it straightened out. But his spirit was strong enough. He had enough fight in him to keep on praying, to keep on trying. Because when you die, these beings, they take you to a hell realm or whatever they take you, whatever. Never give up. Because you know how many times I've heard people say that Jesus Christ or the angels or both came and fought for their soul and took that soul and yanked it away from these beings, from the shaitan? I've heard it a lot. It happened to my mother. But don't depend on that. Troy Aikman, the former Cowboys quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback, he's now an announcer, for NFL. He made a point the other day during a playoff football game. He said, "Don't leave it up to replay and the refs." He said they'll make that call most of the time. Then it's pretty obvious they'll make that call and they'll overturn it. He goes, but don't leave it up to the refs to make that call. Didn't he say that? I think it was the Texans Patriots game. He said when that's happening, you're leaving your game, your win, your victory up to someone else to save you. Don't leave it to chance. Don't do that. I'm here to tell you, I'm here to warn you, don't leave it up to chance. That's what Jamal did. Now it worked out for him. Hopefully, that's really what happened. But he could have really screwed the pooch on that. God cares about everybody. Black, white, yellow, brown, whatever. You've heard all this story. We're all the same, blah, blah, blah. I get it. And I'm not no liberal person. I'm not one of them people. Oh, we're all the same. And everybody look. Oh, this man's washing my window with his spit. Let me give him some money. He won't rob me. I'm not under any illusions, man. Okay. I'm not one of them people that's like, I'm going to love everybody. Look at all these black guys playing basketball over here in the hood here. They're all in their early 20s wearing colors. Let me just go over there and say, hey, guys, how about a little game with a headband? Let's play some b-ball, guys. Do I look stupid? Do I look stupid to you? I'm not that guy. Somebody comes up on the street, tries to sell me gold change. You think I'm going to be like, oh, you know what? Let me get my wallet. Let's go to the ATM. You look like a stand-up guy. You won't rob me. I'm not that guy. I don't want to be somebody that does things to people that has to do whatever. Now I do make mistakes. I look at my head. I bonked the shit out of my head last night. Had one of the best workouts ever. Other than that, I make mistakes, but I'm not stupid. And I don't think I'm something that I'm not. And I don't pretend to be something that I'm not. I'm real McCoy 100%. And when I talk to you on the phone, I tell you what I really feel. A lot of people know this. And when I tell you what I tell you on the show, I'm the same person. Anthony's the only one in the studio with me, and I wish I had somebody else here that could verify this because Anthony, he knows. I'm the same person.
Yeah, nothing changes when the camera goes off.
Same person. You can ask any of my friends from the old days. They watch the show, Starscream, Loki, any of them. My brother, Scorpion. I mean, dude, they know me. I'm this way 24/7. A little high strung, a little angry sometimes. Don't take no shit. I have a 0 shit tolerance. Sorry for my cussing. That's the problem I have. But I'm not going to take your shit. You have your own shit to deal with. And just by in turn, I don't make other people have to deal with my shit. I deal with it myself. I'm not one of those super duper stoic people. Oh, I'm okay. It's just a flesh wound and your peck is hanging off. No, I'm not doing that. If I feel like I'm hurt, I'm hurt. I'm going to go to the hospital. If I feel like I need to cry, I'm going to cry. I'm just being honest. I'm a real deal Holyfield. That's it. And there's a lot of shows that do, in my opinion, they do half-ass as good as we do. Huge numbers, big numbers, because they didn't have to go through the drama that we did of getting attacked every freaking day and being accused of the most horrible things that people could dream up. But why do you think that was? Damon had a theory about that, and I thought it was interesting. He said, they're not attacking them because they're not like you. They're not real. They just parrot stuff. He goes, and I noticed something else, man. He said, a lot of people are copying you, bro. He goes, they're copying you. He's like, but that means you're doing something right. He goes, I could have told this story to a television channel. He goes, but I wanted to tell it to you. And if I do tell it, you heard it first. Same thing the lady we're going to talk about tomorrow. These people want to come to you because they trust you. And there's something there that you can't buy. You earn it. You cannot buy trust. You can't do anything but earn it. You can only earn respect. You can't buy it. And that's what you got to do. And when it comes to your soul, nothing is more important than where you're going to be when you pass away. It's just the truth. So anyways, folks, that's the show for tonight. I appreciate everybody showing up. I definitely appreciate Debbie Cawthra, everybody that donated, but Debbie Cawthra really came through for us. And we needed 130. She hit it right there. Boom. And we did it. We got it. We made it. We did it. That was a goal we set. And I'm not going to lie. About the 16th of January, we had a little team meeting. We were right here, and I said, we're not doing good. And I wasn't mad at all. I didn't yell and scream. Did I yell, Anthony? Was I pissed?
No, you just kind of smacked me around. But
yeah, that was it. Let's get camera. That's in the past.
But you did
that's in the past, though. Like Jimmy said, that's in the past.
Yeah.
That's all in the past.
How you bringing up the old stuff?
Yeah, why you bringing up the old stuff? That was like 8 days ago.
No, but you made sure to smack me around calmly.
Calmly.
Yeah.
I did it like this. Slowly.
Yeah.
Like that.
Exactly.
Then I went like that. And then I started doing chops and a judo chop, and I was doing Indian burns and purple nurples, and I was going off. Now, for real. No, we ended up talking about this, and I said, look, we're not doing too good. We're probably not going to hit our quota, guys. And everybody was like, oh, that sucks, blah, blah, blah. And then we did it. We actually made our quota. We did it. And it was not, like I said, it was just a goal we had. And this year, we did it every month. There were only 3 months where we didn't hit our goal. And I was just like, if we could just grow a little bit, every time and do better, than what we did the month before, and just keep going. Now, we didn't do as good this month as we did last month. And last month didn't do as good as the month before, but December and January are always the slowest months. It just is. It's always the slowest month. But we did. We actually, it was a very good month, and we had an awesome month, dude. And go back and re-listen to some of these shows if you missed them, or if you didn't listen to them, then listen to them. But if you've already listened to them, check them out again. And not just for you, I'm telling you, because you might have missed some things. A lot of people are telling me that they get more out of it when they go back and rewatch, and it helps us, and everything, but really helps you, and it's entertainment too. I get it, and I try to tell the stories as accurate, but also as entertaining as possible. But yeah, 7 years. In April, it'll be 8 years that we've been doing this, and this is almost February. In 2 months, we'll be at this for 8 years, and we only got 47,000 subs or some 46,000 subs, something like that. It's slow. The growth is slow. At this rate, I'll be. Hey, we're almost to 100,000. It's the year 2088. Why am I still here? Who am I?
Are we talking about Corn Pop?
Corn Puff was a bad guy. Poop my pants. I don't know. I'm joking, dude. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I can't tell you, but I'm just saying, like, it's very slow. Our growth is very slow, but that's okay. I don't care. As long as the right people hear the right message, that's all that matters. And I am kind of choosy about some of the stories that I do get and tell. And I know people always say, well, you didn't use my story because it's not glamorous enough. Yeah, I got to figure out a way to put it in there, because if your story is like you were just driving down the highway, I saw Bigfoot. Some people they literally would tell me that, and they won't even give me any context or what, give me something here, feed me Seymour, because that's the thing. But there's no story too small, because you could take a bunch of those and make an episode out of it. right? But I appreciate your time. Thank you. We love you so much. It's been a great month. Been a great month. This is the end of the month. And thanks to Debbie Cothra and everybody that donated, we hit our quota. It was a personal goal for us, one of the goals, and we did it. Now is the fun part. Anthony, do you want to pick somebody to win tonight? I don't know if Tony's in the chat. I know he's working tonight, guys, and it is cold as hell. Cold as a witch's tit out there, as we say in Texas. That is a saying. I've been saying since I was young. When I was a kid, I was like, geez, they must live in the freezer. But, you know, whatever. My Uncle SD, he always had that one eye. Hell, yeah, it's cold as a witch's tit out there. Smoking that cigar. I remember driving home one time from the farm out there. They had like 300 acres out there. And I loved playing out there. It was a farm ranch, you know, and then they had 300 acres of farmland. And then they had like another 75 acres of ranch land that they used for cows and stuff. Everybody's kind of like a hybrid, like ranch farm, two different things, but my family's both, right? And I remember we were leaving there one time, and I told my dad, I said, why do they always say that witches have cold titties? And my dad, in classic fashion, he don't even give me the answer. He just says, because them witches is cold. That's all. That's all he said. And I'm going like, what? It was like years later, you know. We're out there football practice. We're in the playoffs, right? Coach comes up. Coach Jackson, you crazy. Comes out. He's like, yeah, it's cold as a witch's shit out here. And finally, I asked Coach Jackson, crazy dude, ex-Marine dude, whatever. I said, Jackson, why do they say that? He goes, say what? I said, cold as a witch's tit. He goes, yeah, you ever touch a witch's titty? It's cold as hell. That didn't tell me anything either. I still didn't. It wasn't until years later I figured out it was just a saying, and they say it here in Texas. And I think it's a weird thing, but we've been saying it as long as I've been around, dude. I don't know what, you know, it's just cold as hell, right? But it is. That's an old saying, and everybody here in Texas has been saying as long as I've been around.
Aggravate the horns off a goat is another one.
Yeah, aggravate the horns off a goat. Yeah. Cold as a witch's tit, you know. Heard of all kinds of stuff. But so yeah, Wedge Antilles says because they have no hearts, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is a weird saying. I've been hearing since I was a kid. Oh, dude, you see what Andra said?
What? There's a
All right.
delay.
So who has not won? Tell me you have not won, so we can give you one of our piping hot, delicious hoodies.
My mic is on.
He said your mic ain't on. I don't know.
No, it's on. I just turned it down a little bit because sometimes the audio clips, and I don't like the way that sounds.
Dude, Shade said it's 0 in Alabama. Another, what does it say? Another little thing says, I haven't won. So if you haven't won, then I guess we're going to pick you. Somebody else. Give me somebody else. So right there at the bottom of the screen, read it there. It says giveaways at puritpodcast.com. All right.
You sound like Jeff Goldblum.
You see that deal I put on Facebook? She's like, why would I call the police for you breaking into my house? You seen that?
Mm-mm.
You didn't see that? It was funny. He goes, why would I do that? That's witnesses. That's paperwork. It's like, no, I'm going to take good care of you. It's this crazy woman. She's like, you know, talking with her eyes all big, you know. And there's this dude, and he's just like looking at her like, what the hell? It's a funny little, look at my Facebook, folks. And speaking of which, join the Dead Zone Transmissions, please. We need people to subscribe. We need people to subscribe to Dead Zone Transmissions. Please, it's Nellie's channel. Please do us that favor. Like and subscribe to our channel. Like and subscribe to the Dead Zone Transmissions. I'm about to say Dead Zone Commission. What is that? Dead Zone Transmissions. And also to Random Files, because we have a lot of content on there right now, but we're going to. And then we started another channel, True Crime Paranormal. And we're working on that coming up in February. It's going to be good. I'm telling you, it's going to be good. And then what else do we got? we got the Patreon. Join the Patreon. You will not be disappointed. This Tuesday, we're talking Bigfoot, Louisiana. We keep getting good little crowds going in there. 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 tier, and you get some amazing swag. It is so lit. You know what I'm saying? It's good. That's a Gen X talk right there. Right. Okay. Also, if join the $5 gets you the members only. So what we're going to do something for you. On Monday, we're going to do a members only show early, hopefully. And then we're going to do the call-in show after that. If not, we're just going to do the members only, and then we're not going to do the call-in show. But for sure, we're doing the members only on Monday, and we're going to finish up with the Boltungan. I didn't have my notes on me today, and I went ahead and told this story today. These two, I've had them for a while, and I just felt like I needed to tell them, and this is what needed to happen. So it is a good thing, though. We came here and we got it done tonight, but tomorrow night, imagine living in a haunted house, right? And you have seen Dogman 3 times, and you're living in a haunted house. That's tomorrow night. And I can tell you, it is a freaky, freaky thing that happened to this woman. Okay? So, yeah. Tomorrow night, man, haunted house, ghosts and Dogman, just crazy stuff. Basically, her life as going through the paranormal. People have this, where they go through the paranormal, you know what I mean? And so that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow night. Don't miss it. It's the first day of the new month, and start the month off right with Paranormal Roundtable. It's a delicious, healthy, nutritious meal, right? And be there. So what do we got here? Who else has not won?
So Beyond the Box, she's never won.
Beyond the Box is not won? Okay, well, I'm not going to choose you as a winner Beyond the Box because I know you I don't know you personally, but I know you from Abe's channel. And Brenda, you're a wonderful lady. Whatever, just send us your hoodie size that you want, and whatever else. And and if we have any mugs, I'll put together a box for you. Okay, I'll put together a Beyond the Box for you. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
A Beyond Box.
A Beyond Box. And so just tell us what your shirt size is. We'll send you a shirt. We'll send you a hoodie, a beanie. We got beanies, right? We got beanies left?
I don't know.
If we don't, we'll make some and we'll get them. We'll send one to you. We'll put you a box together. But we need another winner for the hoodie. Who do we got here?
So who's never won?
David Barnes says, see you Monday. Why are you going to see me Monday? You're going to see me tomorrow and Monday. You better be here tomorrow, David. I don't know what you're talking about. Tomorrow's Sunday, brother. And then Madeline says, message me, Brenda. Okay, so we could talk bad about Wolf in private. Right? Is that what you're doing? I'm playing. Maddie's out there like, I'm freezing my ass off out here in this weather. Pray for everybody. Pray for Tony. He's out there freezing his butt off. Pray for Russell, freezing his butt off. Oh, at night. Clark's not working tonight. Pray for Kim, our patrol captain. Pray for her daughter. Everybody. Caitlin. Everybody. All people that work for us. Pray for them because they're out there in this cold-ass weather. And pray for my brother. He's out there. Everybody's doing fire watches. Tony's on a fire watch right now. Obviously, he's not in the chat. He hadn't said anything. Is he in the chat? I don't think so. He's not even bothering. He don't even watch. He don't even care. He don't care about y'all. See, y'all give him all that money on his birthday.
He got his money. He's like, I
got mine. He don't even bother to say hello.
See ya.
He's just like, see ya, suckers. Kid gave it to me. Help me out. Scorpion. Oh, yeah, we don't care about you. You work. Nobody care about that. Snake fall. Start calling it a snake fall. That's a true story, by the way. A snake really did fall on him. Yeah. All right. So anyway, that's a true thing. Mad Axman says, I won, never got anything. You didn't get what did you win, Max? Send me the information to giveaways at prtpodcast.com, and we're going to find out where your stuff is at.
Yeah, and I saw your comment earlier. I think it is what it is. You said something similar. Just blame Maddie for that.
Yeah, blame Maddie.
It's all her fault.
Well, here's one here. He says, Justin Springston, 5836. My free prize shirt is so cool, guys. Thank you so much. I love PRTs. Silly. God bless you. Steph Meach says, I haven't won a hoodie. Have you won it all? This one.
814 says she hasn't won this year.
Okay.
Have you won before though?
Adam Sierra says, I have not won. So you've never won before, Adam? And Yep says, I've not won this year. Okay. This year's only a month old. So, sweet. Who does it say? So I'm going to pick you, Adam Sierra. Get yourself in green so you can make the members only show on Monday, right? Do that for us, please. You don't have to, but I'd like you to. So, yep, 814 says he haven't won this year. Well, this year has only been a month, so we'll see what happens. There's another one says, sweet MIP, I'm still waiting on a pink hoodie. I emailed y'all. Okay, so giveaways at PRTpodcast.com, giveaways at PRTpodcast.com. You got to wait because we're only mailing off like once every 2 weeks right now. So I think we're mailing off. It'll be this coming week. We will be mailing off, I think, on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then it'll probably be a couple weeks before we mail off again. So just be patient and we'll get around to you. We'll mail off your wonderful merch. So everybody, congratulations to those that won. Thank you to everybody that donated, and thank you to everybody that showed up. We're out of here. Good night. Oh, wait, before we go. Also, join the Paranormal Roundtable group. Then join the conspiracies. What's it called? Mandela Effect Conspiracy. Go join that group, please. That's a cool group. We're trying to grow it. I love that group. I post stuff in there all the time. And then we have the Paranormal Roundtable page, right? Show them what it looks like. Of course, I got my Facebook. I post on my personal page all the time. So check that out.
That's what the page looks like right there. See if I can. There we go.
All right, guys.